nowhere in the Voter Rights Act, Section 2, does it say you can discriminate against white people by creating black majority
no, tell me, explain to me how you discriminate against black people.
ML, let me finish.
Explain that. No, but explain that first.
That's literally what the ruling is about.
No, that's not what it meant.
Is that you cannot create districts.
You have a misunderstanding of what the ruling says. And I can read the ruling for you.
ML, I let you finish. Let me finish, or I'm going to put you down in the audience. The Voting Rights Act, the way it was interpreted previously, discriminated against white folk by saying that we have to create black majority districts. But nowhere does it say that in that law. Now, if you want to do that, pass that law. But that does not exist. And if you did pass that law, it would be against the Constitution. It would break. We have to be treated equally from one district to another. So what your whole premise is a lie. It's all based. You've been able to be successful in this country at the spite of racism. You've been able to hold a job based on your merits in the spite of racism. So while you parrot one side of this narrative, like the left, you carry the water for the Democrat Party, you champion and hold up that you as a person has been able to succeed in this country, and not because of the color of your skin. So which one is it? Which one is it, bro?
Listen, my success in this country has nothing to do with the Voting Rights Act. You see it, you think we're talking about the Voting Rights Act? We're talking about name a town in America that's majority white, that somehow has been disenfranchised and the vote diluted. How can you take a town, a unit of people, and then divide them up into 50 different representatives? Hold on, let me finish. No, people, I'm not done yet. And
quiet. The Supreme Court ruled that.
Motherfucker, I'm not done yet. If you don't let me finish it, I'm not gonna end it.
You can draw the districts based on partisanship.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't let me get to that point.
Yes,
I'm asking you, name a town in America where the white vote has been diluted based on partisan. It doesn't exist. It only exists. Hold on. You guys gerrymandered black. You guys redline black people into certain neighborhoods.
Hold on, ML, hold on. When you ask the question, I'm going to answer it, okay? It's in the name of what they've been calling it. Minority majority districts. It's literally racism towards white people.
You cannot say that when you guys redline black folks into certain geographic areas. When all black folks live together. When all black folks live together, now you tell them you can't have representation because you all live together.
ML, based on your own testimony here, you've been able to be successful in purchasing all
Motherfucker, I grew up in a different time. I'm from a different island.
Okay, you grew up in Joe. You grew up in America. You're arguing as if we live in 1960.
I didn't grow up on the fucking mainland.
Hold on.
I didn't grow up on the mainland. With your race.
I didn't grow up on the mainland. I'm an island boy.
You're trying to take us back there.
I'm an island boy. I didn't grow up on the mainland. I'm an island boy.
Even though
do I refer to you as the Republican
how
Party?
Successful and rich and powerful you are with all your houses, and you've done it in the spite of all this racism that does not exist.
Exactly, because guess what? Because money has no color, you idiot. But the point that you guys are missing.
Money has no color.
Crazy, bro.
It's just green.
The point that you guys are missing is the fact that you act like racism doesn't exist. Like racism doesn't. Why did Trump fire 78% of the people that was laid off from government were minorities?
He wanted to.
78%. They were fired without cause. Explain that. Because
you don't know. Oh, you're talking about the fluffy government contracts that were a waste of money.
Motherfucker, they're not contract. They're government. They're all fired. 78% of black people who are in leadership
I'm just an island boy. I'm not from the mainland, and money has no color.
Wait for money.
It was a waste of money.
It's a waste of money. It needs to be taken
How is it
care
a waste of money? Because guess what? He didn't.
Yeah, we gotta waste the money. They
Are
were
you guys
black.
fucking listening to yourself?
They're black.
He didn't listen to those. He didn't delete the positions. He just replaced them with white people, white dumb people.
They cut the contracts. They cut all
It's not contracts. It's fucking federal employees. You dumb fuck.
and contracts. That's what Doge eliminated.
No.
Yes.
On the premise of Doge, he fired 78% of all the senior
A
executive
lot of
black.
it was contract.
It's not fucking contracts, you
Yes,
dumb
it
fuck.
Yes, it is.
Beaver, tell me, because you fucking live in DC and you know the fucking government at the highest level. You haven't. So shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. It's not contracts. We're talking about federal employees, full-time equivalents,
They are not federal
FTEs,
employees. They are
motherfucker.
contractors.
If you know anything
Contractors
about
work
manpower,
for the federal government.
78%
You're
of the
wrong.
black folks
You're
in
wrong.
senior executive positions
There's a lot of contracts.
were fired. I'm not talking about contracts. Listen to me, because you fucking stupid. I am talking about FTEs, government employees, non-political.
Calm down, ML.
Because he's not talking the same thing I'm talking about. He's talking about contracts.
Hold on, you sit in your white ivory tower over there in your liberal. Let me finish. In your liberal rooms and never face any pushback, and that's the issue.
No, you guys don't come on stage. If you don't come on the stage, I am bad enough to come up on your
You're
stage
mad.
and add your
Listen to how angry
point.
you are right now.
Hold on, Joe.
Y'all don't come up on our stage.
Why are you yelling at us? Are we yelling at you?
Matt,
Are we yelling at you?
Matt, I never yell at you. I'm just yelling at Beaver because he can keep fucking talking about contracts. And I'm talking about any contract. I'm talking about full-time equivalent senior executives, service civilians.
Yeah, it's
We're talking
both.
about two different things.
It's both. They
No,
eliminated
I am
wasteful
talking
spending.
specifically. I made a specific claim and statement about one thing specific. Trump fired without cause 78% of the senior executive positions held by blacks, minorities, and women,
So what?
which was fucking racist. But y'all motherfuckers sitting in your white skin don't seem to understand racism, except that racism costs America $7 trillion a year.
You want jobs that are redundant. You want to waste taxpayer money on jobs that are redundant and not needed.
Nigga, hey, Beaver, nigga, I'm gonna explain something to you.
What?
The positions were not fucking deleted. They were replaced, nigga. Do you understand that? They were replaced by white motherfuckers.
You think Trump
Sir,
would
don't
call my friend Beaver the N-word.
jobs
Beaver the
Don't call my
nigga.
friend
Beaver the nigga.
black people?
I don't
Beaver
care.
the nigga. And
Good morning, Matt.
Kitty, you're the two.
Hold on. We're getting something here. Wait, who moved Kitty down? Kitty, so you got it.
Yeah, no, so here, my point is this: he identified waste and spending. The federal government wastes money like no other.
Beaver, you can't be that stupid.
No, I'm quite aware.
We're not talking about contracts here. We're talking about.
It doesn't matter if it's
Okay.
contract or actual
Okay,
government.
Beaver. We're talking about hey, the NTSB board members. We're talking about he tried to fire Cook from the board of governors of the Fed Bank. We're talking about all the CFOs and CEOs and CIOs that were black. He fired.
Let me ask you. Hold on, ML.
They get paid a ton of money, and it's
That's not the
impossible
fucking
to
point,
and they have
motherfucker.
no
They were
value.
fired without
They
cause.
provide
They were
no
fired
value.
simply because they were black.
It's a bunch of
ML,
bureaucratic fucking
were
waste
they
of money.
hired?
Yes, but those positions were not deleted. They were replaced by incompetent white men.
Okay.
Were those federal employees hired only because of their color of their skin?
Joe, go fuck yourself because you know
Yeah,
that's not
yeah,
fucking
no.
true.
You see what it is? So if you're saying they were fired,
Okay, therefore all white people are hired by the color of their skin. Are you fucking stupid?
No, clearly, in your world, the paradigm
Nigga,
must
you don't
be
know
that
nothing
they weren't
about my
hired
world, so
on the
we're talking
merits.
about
Like
my
you
world.
claim that
My
you're
world
hired.
is not your world.
No, listen to the convolutedness. You claim that you were hired in your jobs based on your merits, not by the color of skin. However, these folks have only been fired from their job because of the color of skin Well, clearly, then they were only hired into these roles due to DEI because of the color of their skin, right?
That's
They don't have any
asinine.
merit.
That's asinine. Because guess
That's
what?
asinine.
You went to Harvard.
So you don't think the racism goes both ways?
Hold on. You see?
In fact, your party is the perpetuator of all this racism.
Joe,
we're trying to
Joe, the people that were fired, how educated were they? How brilliant were they? How many annual awards did they won? What were their performance rating? All that shit is coming out because it's a matter of fucking record that they have performance rating because they work for the government. It's an annual fucking process. And every performance rating they had, regardless of which administration they worked on, they were fucking exempt, but yet they were fired. You dumb
So
fucks.
you think Stephen Miller said, "Let's fire all the black people we can. This will be fun."
Absolutely. That's exactly what happened. You dumb fuck.
You're stupid if you believe that.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, it's all coming out in the podcast, motherfucker.
You don't have any
actually
proof.
evidence of him.
Yes, there's a court case, man. That's why I know it. That's why I know about the 78%.
Trust me.
That's why I know about that's why I know about their performance rating. That's why I know about who got fired and what the education level was.
Let me tell you the type of ideology your party has. Joe Biden.
Quit
really,
fucking talking to me about party. I'm talking about a specific thing.
I will
You keep going back
put you
to
in the
party.
audience if you don't let me finish my thought. Joe Biden, when running, clearly stated that he had already made up his mind of who he was going to appoint to the Supreme Court. And it was going to clearly be a black woman, regardless of her merit, regardless of where she stood. So, I mean, if the president...
And Trump said he's going to put in a white man, and that's what they've always done.
Damn it, ML, can you not hold your composure, bro? Listen, at the highest position, one of the highest positions in the government, and one of the highest position in the president, promising someone running for that position, promising that they were going to hire someone based on the color of their skin. That is the epitome of the entire Democrat Party. That is how y'all think. You hire everyone based on the color of your skin, or at least who's loyal to your, who's loyal to the agenda. That's ultimately what it really is. This is just a facade for the game.
Nobody hires somebody based on the color of their skin. And for you the guys to consistently think about that, you'd be a fucking idiot to hire somebody based on the color of their fucking skin. That's what white fucking people do by denying other people's access. That's what the fuck you're doing.
Terrible, by the way.
ML, you default. Hold on, ML. You default to the idea that Republicans has fired these people based on the color of their skin because your party only hires people based on the part of their skin. Clearly, Joe Biden only intended to hire. Listen, clearly, Joe Biden intended only to hire the next Supreme Court justice based on the color of her skin. He made it very clear. This is how y'all think. This is the lens that you've applied to the people on the right.
Hold on.
Clearly, they must be racist because we're racist.
Okay, when Clarence Thomas was nominated,
Out of the way, cuz.
man, shut the fuck up. Ain't nobody talking to you.
Adrian, you out the way, bro.
Yeah, Adrian, you can go suck a dick, bro.
Move.
Ain't nobody talking to you.
Move. Alright, get the fuck out the way.
Bro, ain't nobody talking to your fucking...
You're not saying shit.
Ain't nobody talking to your simpleton ass, bro.
Alright, one mic on Edward.
Yeah, Edward's in the queue here. Go ahead, Edward.
Oh, fuck, not Edward. I'm done. I'm gone.
Whatever.
Oh, come on, ML. Don't be a sore.
No, I'm done. Conversation over. Bye. You guys have a good one.
Oh, you
Fuck
would.
off.
Oh, whatever.
We want.
No, guys, listen. That's the beauty of being an American. People have a right to leave. So, but they don't have a right to alter the facts. Okay?
I don't get more
It's a very
than
unfortunate.
any
It says we hold these truths to be
I don't know
self-evident.
why.
It does not say we hold these truths to be ethnic evidence.
Accidentally,
Okay.
I'm pretty much
I
sure.
don't know why we believe that we come on a stage and just yell and scream, call people all kinds of names, and believe that people actually get
I don't know
fired
John
because of the
Kittle's
color of their
sending me
skin.
friend
No,
request, John.
we have a
Alright, I
country
got some
that's
shit
out
to
of
say. I'm
control.
about to get that Botox that makes you not sweat. I'm about to get it underneath my boobs. This is fucking crazy. It is way too hot,
It
man.
should not be. Our federal government, and we have the only constitution
what?
in the world that has a limited government. Very clear. Now, I just want to share with you guys what I actually put in the chat, and everybody can go because A lot of this stuff is documented, and I'll be very brief because I think that sometimes people just talk and they never go and read the information that's available to them because it's pretty easy for us all. The first one says the Voting Rights Act was designed to stop those discriminatory practices and enforce the 15th Amendment. Okay? This is what most people don't look at when you say the 14th Amendment guarantees equal protection under the law. Okay? It's all documented evidence that you can do. The next one, it says here, the law did not say only certain ethnic groups could vote. Instead, it prohibited governments from using race-based discrimination to block citizens from voting. That's a big one. Critics and supporters debate how far federal enforcement should go today, especially around redistricting, voter ID laws, and pre-clearance rules that once required some states to get federal approval before changing election laws. The last two more. But the constitutional, the act was framed as an enforcement mechanism. This is so important right here. Mechanism for equal voting rights under the Constitution, not as separate ethnic-based voting systems. That's the big one for us to all realize, right? This is important for us. You know why? Because are we having people in America vote only because of their ethnicity and not because of their values? Like some people say, you voted for Trump. No, I voted for Edward. Okay? This is important to me. You know why? Because I believe in voting values, not just a party, not just a group, and I'm definitely not voting my skin color, ever, because I did not get to choose to be ethnically black. I did not get to choose to be born in America. I get to choose to be a male. But one thing I can choose every single day is vote values. And my value is I don't want to be judged on my ethnicity. I want to be judged on my merit. Thank you for allowing me the mic. Again, it's a privilege, not a right. Thanks.
I gotta say something before we go to the next speaker. Matt, so if you noticed, what really got under Inmel's skin, and I was trying to impress it, is that we won. It's over because abortion got overturned. We control SCOTUS. The map redistricting is we're gonna hold a lot more seats in the future. We're gonna control Congress pretty much. It's gonna have a lot easier. And then and Trump won, and all these things have happened, and there's something he can do about it. And so this is our chance to make him suffer. So we should take every chance we can when he's in here to make him suffer. And he freaked out when I told him this, and he said something about we need to eliminate you people or something.
He did say that. Good point.
Yeah.
No, he did. Exactly.
He said that?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Let me ask you this.
Hold on, guys. Are you surprised? Are you surprised?
Hold on. It's not performative when I say they want to kill him.
Exactly. I'm not by this. Guys, we know that man is dead. They're not talking.
Fight the football, run the big victory in, make them suffer. That's all you have to do now.
He said civil war is coming.
See? You hear that?
Wait.
Civil war is coming.
I did ask a question, master question, Beaver.
Okay,
Wait on Matt to say something.
Hey, can I just say one thing real quick? Because I want to really good on this one, because Joe has mentioned this before. You didn't catch it, but it was it was, once we get control, we want to take you out or eliminate you. It was like something along those lines. So that is definitely the thinking. It was really a subtle thing. You had to really pay attention, or really quickly to pay attention between all the yelling that he was doing. But
I said it right after I said that we wanted to, we control this and this. He goes, well, this is why you people need to be eliminated.
Yeah, he's like, once we get, or he said something also about control too. I don't know if you caught that, but he said, yeah, exactly what Beaver just said. Go ahead, Edward.
Well, and I agree with Beaver in the fact that America won, not just our side guy.
Yeah,
at the same time. Yeah. At the same time, we got to be very careful. We don't want the federal government on any side ruling the 350 million individual Americans in the 50 individual states. We did win. And you're correct, Beaver. We did overturn Roe versus Wade because of the courts. We did reduce as much government as we could, and we're still trying. The challenge that you all have to look at, okay, is when you take crack from a crackhead, it's very, very difficult. And we don't understand that a lot of these programs.
Hey, wait. I'm a crackhead, so I don't know.
Stop.
That's real though. I mean, I look at it as a boat that's slowly sinking, and Trump has just got it patched. He's prolonging it, but I'm just enjoying the ride before this motherfucker sinks, dude.
Yeah, let me just finish. I land on this guy. We also got to believe in limited government. See, I ask people, do you know you're a local elected official? Do you know your senator? Do you know your congressperson? Do you actually even follow your governor? Don't you guys understand the biggest distraction that we currently have is the federal government? Okay? The federal government rules from the bully pulpit, and this is what they're arguing about. See, they're missing out the fact that most of the people that were hired came from the local states, guys, because this is what the congressmen and women are pushing. So if they don't like it, they got to get back to that. And we did win, Beaver. I don't disagree with you. But at the same time, let's make sure we get the government back to the people, not the government enforcing the law against the people.
Yeah, but when you get a chance to rub it in on these horrible, terrible, degenerate people, it's time. This is the times that
We're not just rubbing it. We have to get ahead of it. We have to try to save the country because listen, there's been so much damage from the left and the right because of big government policies that we are so far away from where our forefathers envisioned our country.
Oh, I know. You can't rest on your laurels.
You know what I'm saying?
Right? Yeah, it's not over. I'm just saying, as far as clubhouse bullshit battles, they can't stand it, and they're just nothing down. And
I don't just rub it on Clubhouse. I rub it into the left in general. Maybe not so in their face, in person, but yeah, I mean, but we do got to try to save the country, and we can celebrate, but the fight's not over. And the left is hell bent on doing whatever they can. Shit, do they? They don't have, they don't give up. They want to open up the fucking borders for every Tom, Dick, and Harry illegal immigration for votes. They want to fucking have no ID for votes. They want to vote for dead people. I mean, they don't give a fuck. They will destroy this country to gain power. And now, bro, they're really pissed. Now they're really mad, bro. I mean, it's going to be a fight, bro. This is going to be a real fight. I mean, it's a fight for the future.
You know the saying, sometimes you got to take, like in the middle of doing something, you got to take a step aside and take a moment to enjoy the victory. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude, totally.
Or else it makes it all pointless.
You got to, because guys, we're never going to get a time alive with Trump with a guy who fights like Trump. So like Beaver's saying, we got to enjoy it, man. Fucking take a breath and enjoy the time that we have right now, because we're going to look back at this and say, damn, it was sure nice to have a fighter like Trump. There was nobody like this guy. And the left hates him because he's so effective. He's such a fighter, bro. Yeah, they wish they had a fighter like we had.
Well, so I mean,
I hear you, but are we win-lose, or are we win-win? Regardless of what the left say, they're still American, right? We have to come up with better articulate ways of communicating to people that don't believe in our Constitution. Okay? The founding fathers said that they're foreign or domestic enemies. We got to learn how to communicate. Yes, we won, but we won as Americans. Okay? Not as just individual ideologies, because I believe in limited government. That's all. But I'm not going to beat up people because they have a different ideology. I'm going to try to explain to them why they support the president, their governor, support those things that are good for us, not just beat people up. Because right now, both the left and right are at odds with each other. And to me, that's win-lose, not win-win.
All right. So this is the thing. I think this is where Beaver's pushing back, and maybe even myself a little bit. I think we do have to kind of put the foot to the neck. Let's just face it. There's no real ideology that the left has that I agree with, especially the real progressives, which is pretty much taken over their party in a lot of ways. So I don't see any reason why we can't put the pressure on completely. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but not. I don't want to sound like them, like eliminate. I'm saying like
you do. Look,
don't take the foot off the gas now. Don't take the foot off the gas now.
Yeah,
We need to fucking.
Right,
you know
what I'm saying? That's like the.
But haven't y'all already won though? Like I said, you
hold on. Like the decorum of things, like we're supposed to respect the opposition in that way. But I think the opposition isn't playing on the same field as we are in that way. Like they're not looking to have a fair fight, if that makes sense, Edward. I don't know if you see that at all. Like I think this is where the disconnect between, like, I guess quote unquote MAGA and like Republicans in that way is that we MAGA sees a fight ahead and we aim to win, where the Republicans are going to go down a different route and try to play the usual route.
Try to play nice with these. And it doesn't work. It bites us in the fucking head.
That's what we're
So my question is, if y'all own everything right now, you literally run the entire government, why are we still having conversations as if like y'all don't? Like, shouldn't we be having conversations as if like we run this shit, like what's all the shit that we about to get done to make our visions true? I mean, I guess to a degree, the voting.
We still have people in there that are rhinos, or they're still.
But what is a rhino though? How you gonna tell somebody that's a real Republican that's been a Republican longer than a lot of people have been alive?
Well, why everybody has to say that?
I'm not even a Republican, but I feel like that's low key some anti-American type shit.
No, it's not, dude. No, it's not. Listen. So you know what a rhino is, man? Like, so the old term Republicans, Mitt Romney, John McCain, George Bush, Jeb Bush, all these assholes, dude, that are really
rhinos.
Because they're big corporate assholes who all they do, man, they say they're Republicans, yet they're in bed with the Democrats. They're friends with the Democrats. They like big government. They like globalism. They like fucking
corruption. How come you don't care about the corruption that Trump and Biden ground away?
Mitch McConnell.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. You're correct.
Marshall's a huge one.
Marshall, hold on. I want you guys to pick up what said. You can call it whatever you want. Each one of these people represent a district in the United States government, and the people that they represent keep voting them in. True. If you want to, hold on. If you want to change someone, change the people voting. You guys keep voting and saying it's the right. Listen, we got a Joe Biden because the state of Delaware voted him in for all those years. You got to look at we the people who keep doing it. You guys think that the top of the head is what's causing this? Remember, our country's based on we the people, not we the government. And we the people are not participating properly. And like he said, it's low value. This is what we keep talking about. We keep talking about the rhinos, but we never talk about the people and their responsibility. This is the challenge that we have, guys. Listen, our Constitution, which is part of the Bill of Rights and all these other things, right? And the Declaration of Independence, is for us to have government out of our lives. That's the framework of it. But for us to keep saying we got these people representing us, no, we got it. And I land on this, guys. 350 plus million Americans. We have in 2026 the most uneducated group of people in America that do not know their actual Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence. So they're still relying on government. That's what they're relying on. Both sides. So I land.
Facts. Hey, motherfuckers can say whatever they want, but I feel like the way they talk about John McCain is fucked up. John McCain, Mitt Romney, I'm not saying they was perfect, but I don't feel like they were sellouts.
Like, they were, bro. They absolutely were. Like, when Trump was first of all, remember when Trump was campaigning, who were the ones who were stopping Trump? It wasn't just the Democrats.
Yeah, Romney sold out.
Yeah, it was the establishment Republicans that fucking did not want him in there because they didn't want some unestablishment guy coming in here and fucking shit up.
McCain actually started the Russia hoax.
Yeah, bro, he started that. I remember he thumbed down on
example. I'll give a specific example about John McCain and how he betrayed the American people. He ran for nearly 6 years on repealing Obamacare. He fundraised off of it for his election. I forget if it was 2014 or 2016. It was right around there. He promised to his voters that he would repeal it. And when the opportunity arose, he was the downvote, all because of his personal beef with Donald Trump. Yep. So here he was.
Thumbs down.
He betrayed American voters that had been voting for what he was selling us. But he didn't actually believe.
Did you hear also, man, that after George Bush was chosen as the Republican nominee, he was literally so mad at the Republican establishment because he was expecting a shoo-in. When George W. Bush won, he was about to defect to the Democrat Party and was just almost did and was talked out of it. He's just spiteful. He's a spiteful old fucking man that was trying to fuck America. And honestly, it's crazy, man. You know,
yeah, there's something that happens to these people that run for president and then lose. It's like they lose their mind. And you can see this over the years, not just Republicans, but Democrats too. Look at how Hillary lost her senses. Look at now Kamala. She's in this swan dive going on where she's completely unhinged. And here she was just this last week saying, we have any idea is a good idea. Well, I don't know if you all are familiar with this, what she was talking about this week. But when they're having meetings about any idea is a good idea, that means there is no good ideas. The Democrats don't know. They don't have a good idea. Yeah, and this is what happens. This is what happened to McCain. This is what happened to Romney. Is their brand of right-wing Republican Party, whatever, it didn't win. It wasn't successful. And they held resentment over it.
They wanted to hurt the party because of it, yeah. And hurt the country.
Resentment that Hillary held. Go ahead.
Joe, you just brought up a great point that these individual Americans have chosen to go against the American populace. You know, what Mitt Romney did, like John McCain, you're right, it was a personal beef. Unfortunately, these guys were in that position to try to tank the presidency of, Donald Trump the first time. And now we see it, Joe, and you know this very clearly, that a lot of people keep talking about Donald Trump as if though he is the one causing all the problems. No, Donald Trump is the one exposing all the problems.
Yes. And that's exactly what they were afraid of, man, because these people have been in bed for years, man. They would fight publicly and then come together for a bipartisan pay raise and shake each other's hands and go on fucking vacation. They didn't want a good deal. They didn't want a good deal to go bad. They got Trump coming in here fucking shit up, dude. They were willing to kill this man for it. We can't trust these fucking swamp assholes, man.
I don't again. I have a little bit different view on us using violence, and I know sometimes it happens even here. We had a civil war on our soil, the only one in all the nations. But this one thing I've learned. I live in California, guys, and I adopt a liberal every month if I could. And why do I adopt a liberal? To let them literally understand the difference of why they should want our country to be number one. Why should we be pro-America? But listen, guys, we're the only country where we, the people, get to decide. We do that.
Wait, you adopt a liberal? What do you mean?
What I mean by this,
man, listen,
no. Hold on. Let me answer the question, man. So what I do is I go to different places, young people. We call it 1826. What I do is I talk to young people between 18 and 24 who are actually liberal. They may have a college degree, and I ask them, what do you actually know about America, and how were we found, and how did we get where we are? And they go, well, the government, the first thing they talk about is the government is bad, it's the enemy, and SSC. You're telling me already that you hold no truth to be self-evident. I asked them that question. What truth do you hold to be self-evident? Do you know that you live in a country that you have a right to go and do whatever you want?
Oh, this is awesome, Edward. You need a podcast doing this. You need to interview them.
I'm telling you what, I listen to it every day.
This is what I say, and they don't understand, because I have children. They grew up in Orange County, right? And I tell them all the time, listen, we live in the best country in the world. There's more abundance than negativity. But every program that's been instituted by government is a drain on our economy. From Section 8 to Big Pharma to whatever you want to call it, even corporate government. I mean, for us to bail anybody out of anything, no. We have a thing that if you are not just an American consumer, you should go bankrupt. No one should be bailed out. That's what happened to Spirit. Okay? And everybody's complaining. No, this is not how our country works. Okay? Listen, if Edward goes out today and violates his marriage because he chose that he saw some big booty lady, my wife calls it the 4 Bs, and I'll land on this. She said, use your brain, don't look at the breast, don't look at the booty, so you won't be bankrupt. We got to stop that with the young people. Go ahead.
Have you ever had a liberal female break down and cry after you defeated her mentally? Like, do you ever
I don't think they cry. I think that this is what they say. A lot of, well, why didn't they tell me this? I said, because they don't teach civics anymore. I should have been the one teaching you this. There's no one coming to our rescue. They're telling you that they can solve your problem, but they're not in your home. They don't get to make any decision for you. They're selling you a lie. And I went all of it.
They can't tell you you're racist. You're a racist white man.
Beaver, do you mind if I get in there?
I'll let you go after me. You know how many times I've been called that? I've been called a sellout. I lost my race card. I said, when was I issued the card? And I don't know. I was born American. And I've been in 54 countries, guys. There's no place like this place. I get to choose where I want to live. I get to choose where I want to go. And if they does not look like me, don't want me in their space, you know what I have a right to do? Walk away. Why would I want to work for somebody who don't want me to work for them? I mean, come on, if you don't like me, that's not my problem, that's your problem. Because I would be the best person working for you. But if you don't want that, I'm good. And I want us all to remember this. If people come here, all they talk about is ethnic group, I don't know if the person who's ethnic is even qualified. Do they have the skill set? People, all different people, Japanese, Koreans, even Muslims work in our organization, because they have the skill set, not their ethnicity, not their religion, is what we need at the time we hire people.
Do you mind if I get in there, please?
If they don't want to hire me because I'm a woman, guess what? I'm going to keep moving. I know my worth. I'm a child of God.
All right. So what I was going to say, man, is that I live in a so I'm a conservative, obviously, right wing, but I live in the most liberal city in my state. And mainly I do it for jobs, and it's a beautiful area because I was actually born in the Northwest. But also, these people are not terrible. I mean, they're just misunderstood. A lot of them, yeah, there is some bad eggs, as there is some bad people on the right. But I think that, generally they're really good people by heart. They're just kind of they're misconstrued. Some of them are lost, but you can maybe change their mind, and even if they don't agree with you at the time, if you make a compelling argument with them, and something happens that you made an argument about, that was compelling, they might later realize that you were right all along, or they might just start to realize, that we're not so bad. Because a lot of the left, I think, thinks we're just fucking demons, right? But we're not. We're good people with values, and I assume some of these people are too, not all of them. But so I like to try to talk to them, and I don't push the subject, It's better to talk to them online, But sometimes you can talk to them face to face and come to them, not all of them, obviously, but it's just, I'm not afraid to speak to them face to face about it. But, there's a time and a place for it. But yeah, I mean, these are Americans at the end of the day, and we can't fucking treat each other like we're a bunch of demons, so,
I know. Mountain, did you see what happened to speak? Right when I started. What did you see happen?
What's that?
Did anybody, say it again, Joe?
Right away. Wouldn't even have the conversation.
You know why? Because I don't deal with the racist role or the yelling You got to give me, how did you actually come to this conclusion? And give me documentation. So we all talk a lot, but I lived in this country for 62 years. And I promise you, there is no place on planet Earth that treat all their citizens better than any other country. That's why everybody want to come here, guys. Listen, if you believe that America is about ethnic groups, it's not. It's about the ideal. Can you govern your own life? That's why it says we hold these truths to be self-evident. But if you want to have a group think, just listen to what I heard this morning. They did the redistricting so that a black person could not win and represent black people. I thought they were supposed to be representing the Constitution. Am I wrong?
Yeah, you're wrong. You're wrong.
I don't think it's about.
I don't think.
No, he's right. There is supposed to be representation.
Hold on, guys. Let him finish. Why do you believe I'm wrong?
It's not about electing a black person specifically. I think it's about electing a person that will have black people's best interests in mind, and that's what it's about. Not necessarily electing a black person.
The person that was running that got redistricted.
Hold on.
He was going against the black-white lady.
Hold on, can I just be clear on something? Hold on.
Republican lady.
Can I?
Yeah, finish that.
That made a great point. So, I'm gonna ask you this: is it the interest of the American people should be the interest of all American people?
Can you explain that, please? Can you add a little bit more?
Okay. So right now, we have laws in the United States of America. Are they only for one ethnic group or for all Americans?
I guess I feel like laws are for everybody.
Exactly. So then why would Edward need someone that looks like me to represent a different interest than the rest of America?
So are you talking about again as if we were trying to specifically hire, but elect a black person?
Correct.
I guess that's the point that I'm trying to say is that I don't think it's about specifically being elect black people. It's about being able to elect candidates that will have black people's interest, which doesn't allow.
And I'm going to tell you again, are your interests as a ethnically black person, are they not the interest of the country?
I feel like the way you phrased that, I'll say it like this. They had this black lady that was, I think, trying to go for Virginia. She's a Republican, and she didn't win. Me being a black person, just because she's a black Republican, I wouldn't fuck with her because the shit that she was about wasn't in black people's interests. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the point.
I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. But her interests, were they against black people's interests based on the Constitution?
I feel like the Constitution wasn't even originally written with people like me and you in mind. So I'm just trying to...
Hold on. So I want you to hear yourself. How do I know what was in the minds of those men? Do you think they were thinking about Edward?
Man, sometimes you gotta fucking read a book if you want to know what's in the book.
At that point, and thought that. So you and I cannot be on the same foundation. I do not believe that our founding fathers were sitting around wondering how they can harm black people. I don't believe that, ever. And no one could ever convince me of that because they don't know what those men were thinking. They have no clue. But for me to think that the whole thing was based on the ethnic groups that were around, come on, man. Listen, all I say, people are going to believe what they're going to believe. But if you believe that the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence were not written for you, we're not on the same page.
That might be fair, and that's why America is great. And I still fuck with you, even though you lean because you're a brother. But I want to bring it back to the point of, we talk about the whole thing and all of that. That is not about being able to elect a literal black person, but again, to be able to elect politicians that will have black people in mind. And we agree to that. Is that not a possibility?
What some blacks want, but this is what I ask you. In the current districts that are ran currently by people that look like you and me, could you tell me which one is actually doing the best job for their constituents? Tell me what community right now that's ran by a black representative where jobs are there, good things are going on. Just explain to me.
I got you. In my city, we do always elect a lot of Democrats. My response to me is that nobody put the guns, nobody said forcing them to vote Democrat. And if the Democrats really was that shitty, then why haven't the Republicans up their shit to be a better motherfucking choice than the people that are being elected. The same way we sat back and we said these old rhinos that were in their districts forever that kept getting elected, the people kept electing them. It's not like it was some big ass conspiracy or anything else like that. So that's what I would say that. And the last thing I'll say is that in Ohio, which is where I'm from.
No, we're the same page now. You know why though?
What can I say? Can I say this last thing? In Ohio, where I'm from, they changed our districts. And being a black man, the first thing I noticed when I saw the districts that were changed, it was all the major areas where black people live. They did not change the districts in the country where all the white folks live. They made it so that way the black people who live in the city share more of their district with white folks who don't even live in the city. And to me, the first thing that I thought is like, damn, why would they dilute the vote? Like, what do they have to gain by diluting the vote? And I'll land there.
So, Edward, can I just chime in for 1 second? I just want to kind of clarify both your points. So both of your points, I think it's nuanced, right? The Constitution says that the state should determine the districts in their state, and then those districts are responsible for choosing someone that represents the interests of those districts. So when you say the interests of black people, right? Nowhere in the Constitution does it say people of a specific, race or a specific color or a specific ethnic background or region or whatever should have it, but people of certain districts. So, in Edwards, to go against Edward in one sense is technically a person in a district. It could be a complete Chinese district, and everyone there hates America, but the representative is responsible to hate America because that's what his constituents want. So in theory, the Constitution is designed in that way. So when we say, black people need someone that's going to represent them, well, no, if black people are in a predominantly white district, then either they should move and say, hey, this district doesn't represent what I want. But to say that we have to change around everything, to say, okay, well, I want to make a black congressional district, then let's make, Indian congressional districts and Native American, that's not the way it's supposed to be. The state should determine how they want to determine the legislative districts in their area and their congressional districts. That's the power given to the states. And then those particular districts will then say, these are our interests, these are the important topics to us. Let us vote in our congressional leaders that represent us. Let us vote in our...
why don't they district the white areas? Why don't they go district the white areas? Why are you only redistricting the black?
Because it's part of the state.
No. Why did you go redistrict the white only areas? That's my point. It's not why
you are. They are. The maps are changing. Yeah. The maps are. Read that. The maps change.
It's because they pick those up because they want the vote to be red. Yes, the SCOTUS says partisanship can be the number one objective of a state. And so that's what they're doing. The only thing they can't do is you have to prove that they are redrawing needs just to screw black people over. And that's not their objective. Their objective is to partisanship.
But if you're taking away...
Hold on. I want to follow up after Beaver.
Isn't that defranchising?
No, that's not.
You think they're going to vote for Democrats?
Hold on real quick. I just want to follow up after Beaver. The only way here in the South, I live in Alabama, same thing that Louisiana where I used to live, the only way that they can create these minority-majority districts is by taking slivers of the city and dragging it all the way out into areas where there's other black folk to make enough of a majority to create a Democrat district. So if you just take the regional area of Alabama and make it a regional selection, it becomes a Republican majority location. So you have to actually gerrymander to make these minority majority districts rather than basing it off geography and culture as it should be.
So, with the denial of, with the striking down of the Section 2, which is majority-minority districts, the court has been playing political gerrymanders, even though gerrymandering is perverts the system. They're fine. Racial gerrymanders, however, are not. Either way, Louisiana is a case where the Supreme Court ruled that there was no racial gerrymandering. Louisiana created a map. the Fifth Circuit, which is where Louisiana is, looked at the map and said, no. This is clearly a racial gerrymander. You can't fucking do that. Go back to the drawing board. So Louisiana is one of the states that's had to go back to the drawing board. There's no pre-clearance anymore, which was Shelby v. Holder in 2013. But the court explicitly forbids any kind of racial gerrymandering now, regardless of whether it's in favor of packing a district, a majority-minority district, or whether it's favoring white people or Asian people or Hispanic people. That's unconstitutional.
So I think something people are missing here, and I'll go back to what I said.
Let me ask Marshall this question.
And I think, just let me finish if you don't mind, just very quickly. So Joe, I think Joe hit on it. Everyone was hitting on it, but the point that I said at the beginning, I think everyone should understand, right? The state is the one who determines how they draw their maps, so long as they're not drawing the maps in a way to say, oh well, this person deserves better than someone else. They can draw their map based on their interests. So here's an example. The goal is states' rights. States' rights say, hey, I should have the ability to have as many representatives as I can in the U.S. government because that's in my interest. So if I want to draw a small sliver of land as a legislative district so that I can get a congressperson in there, they can do that. Now there's different the population size and things like that. The state government has to say these are the rules for which the minimum size in a district can be is the maximum size. So they can choose those. And I think that's what SCOTUS essentially said. The legislators, as long as they vote on it and they push through, they have the right to choose how they do it, as long as they're not choosing it based on race or choosing ones to avoid certain races. So, if you have a black person who lives in a white district, right, you don't say, that representative, or if you have a black community that lives in a predominantly white community, the expectation is they're going to elect someone that will cater to both groups of people and be able to work with it. That's how it's supposed to work. Unfortunately, people are saying we need to have a black district because they need someone that looks like that. We need to have but then they never said, but then the other groups will say, well, why not have a Spanish district? Why not have a Native American district?
It's not about people that look like them because that Tennessee district was run by a white man that they redistricted. It wasn't even ran by
I understand, but you're missing what I'm saying.
And he was
going against
it's
a
about
black Republican woman, bro.
Are you talking about with?
Hold on, Kitty, get out the car. Kitty, get out the car.
No, you're not right. That's not fair.
I'm not lying. You can look this up, Kitty. Relax, please.
No, you're lying.
No. He
don't accuse him of lying if you don't actually know he is.
Let's concede once.
Marsha
If
Blackburn.
he's right.
He's not talking about Marsha Blackburn.
Yeah, Kitty. Let's concede. She's a senator. She's a state senator. She represents. Okay, we're talking about No, I'm talking about Marsha Blackburn.
Oh my God.
Marsha Blackburn. But the point is that understand that even if you take a community of black people and put them together, right, and say, okay, we want to make it, that means the state is openly looking at race as one of the determining factors of who they want to have in Congress. Isn't that racist? Because then, if somebody's from the country and they've lived there for a long time, they can sue the state and say, hey, how come you didn't give me represent people that are interested in my interest, not someone that looks like me? Someone that's, well, you have a representative. Well, so why do black people get that preference and not others? Well, historically, this is what, no, but that's unfair. So that's what the Supreme Court essentially said is, we need to we need to be colorblind in doing this and put the districts however you want. Now, that allowed the political gerrymandering because it goes, hey, now we can base it on conservative. Well, that's not really, can't discriminate, in many ways. That's not considered a discriminating class. So that's what happened.
Thank you. Mike, you so thirsty.
Did you want to talk?
I would like to say something.
From Marshall. We're getting further away from Marshall.
Very quickly before I wash my dog, in honor of the President Trump House, and I really wish that you people would follow it if you haven't, because it's really amazing. And also in honor of, this is the preamble of the Constitution of the United States. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, domestic tranquility, provide in common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish the Constitution of the United States of America.
Hey,
okay, now you can.
Hey, I just wanna wake something up for y'all. Swore, that wasn't necessary. Swore. She wasn't even cooking like that, bro. But hey, but fellas, what I want, and even Edward, even my black brothers in here, what I want us to understand is, I think you get the vitriol from black people because of slavery not being accounted for. I think that's the bottom line of the things. If slavery was accounted for, I think that black people would be more on board for what's going on, bro. They wouldn't even have a fucking issue. But that sole problem has not been accounted for, bro. And I think that's where a lot of the black people's pushback and vitriol and not trusting them comes from. And I can't knock them for doing that. It's some brothers like me that think out the box and don't just go blue no matter who. But I'm rare, and I think that a lot of their pushback comes from that. And there's nothing wrong with saying that either.
But let me ask you a question, mister.
What do you mean by slavery?
Hold on.
No, wait, hold on.
No. I'm not holding anymore. I'm not holding anymore. I've been holding.
Beaver, let me...
No. Wait. No, I'm joking.
Wait. Let me talk with my brother Beaver and
no, wait, what do you mean by slavery?
I will answer your question when Edward done, bro, because it's simple.
What do you mean when Edward's done? What are you talking about?
Beaver, this is one of the things that I try to challenge people of color on. Okay? Very important. So, mister, you made a statement, and I want to make sure we're on the same page. When was the last time a slave was purchased on the soil of America?
It was... Fuck. I have the date too, but you cooked me on that. I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay, but this is what I want you to realize. You can't blame a government on commerce.
But we're not just talking about slavery either, bro. We're talking about Jim Crow laws.
No, hold on.
We're talking about how the government flooded our drugs in the 90s. So it's a couple of things that haven't been accounted for. And I think that they need to be accounted for, and these people would be on board with what y'all talking about. I'm telling y'all. I talk to these people all the time, bro, and I be trying to get them to see what we see, but that be the thing that gets in the way. That's why I asked for an example.
Give an example. No, I know. He can't do that because there's no example.
I'm just trying to let you talk, Edward.
No. Okay, mister, all the things you just said, Jim Crow, use that terminology. That was in one segment of the United 13 colonies. It was not all black people affected by that. Okay? So hold on, mister. You got to make sure you know the nuances. Okay? I've never met a slave. Never met a slave owner. I'm 62. My dad was born in 1990.
My dad is 73 years old. He was affected by Jim Crow laws, and my mom. They literally tell me stories about it, bro. So your anecdotal experience is not anything that's...
I know,
my people have been through, bro.
Mister, I know, but you can't blame the whole group of people.
I'm not blaming the whole group of nobody. I'm blaming the fucking government. What is wrong with you, Edward?
Hold on.
White people.
No, hold on.
Problem with white people. I do business with white people every day.
Mister, I'm not fighting you. You just said you blame the government. I know, but you said you blame the government. Who's the government? Could you name
the
them?
Government is mixed with all types of people. It ain't just white people.
See, he capping for these white folks. Y'all having a cap off for white people.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. It's really interesting.
Bro, all I'm telling you is that you would get your brothers and sisters on board to what in the way that you think if literally slavery, Jim Crow laws, the way that they flooded our hoods or our neighborhoods in the 90s with drugs, if we got that, all of that shit accounted for, then it would be a different energy when it comes to this shit. We may be able to come to the table in agreement, but because of that, it's a lot of people, like the way that me and you think, Edward, is rare in our community. And if you don't recognize that and ask these people why they're now I get it. You talk to these people, these dumbass kids in college that don't know shit about nothing, but they think they went to college and they just so fucking, like, they don't even do their history and learn shit. They fucking dumb. Not equal knowledge. You talk to those dumbass people and they give you those dumbass answers. But what I'm telling you is there are people in here that do the homework and know the history, and the only reason why they not siding with something that makes sense. Because I think a lot of the shit that y'all talk about makes sense, which is why I be going to bat for. I'm an independent, but I'm telling you, if you want to get your brothers and sisters in line, from what
I'll
you
give you an
think,
example.
that has to be accounted for. It has to.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Let me just interject here. Look, Mister, the Democrat Party has been the perpetuator of all these grievances from slavery to Joe. However, the application of where the punishment wants to be laid on is white people in general, and then white Republicans particularly, when white Republicans are not actually the ones that were responsible for any of this. Did you not hear that I said that it's not just white people, bro? I'm not blaming just white people. I know you're not. No, I know you're not. So I'm not trying to put you where you have to defend yourself, but I do know the arguments, right? So the idea is to hold the Democrat Party liable through a class action lawsuit for descendants of chattel slavery. We hold they dumbass liable too. I don't think they are. But look, they are not. Actually hold the Democrat Party liable for these issues. Joe, you talking to me? Fuck what they got going on. I'm holding both parties liable because they are both a part of the government. Why would you hold the Republican Party liable? What do you mean? Why? Because they let it happen. But the perpetuators they let it happen. They let it happen. They fought against it. In fact, they fought against it. Bro, I know my history, man. I know my history, brother. The birth of the Republican Party had black people involved. I get it, brother. I get it, brother. And also, So, but then why would you want to hold the Republicans accountable and not the Democrats?
Yeah, but hold on, Joe. Mister, when Joe is speaking, in order for you to be able to understand what he's trying to convey,
he's got a history that I already know.
Hold on, I know, but he doesn't know.
I probably know the history.
Mister, listen, it's not a peeing contest. Okay, we're not trying to pee.
I'm not trying to be in a contest. I'm literally telling y'all. You're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm saying if you want your people to be on your side and think like you, this has to be accounted for. What is so hard about understanding that, brothers?
I'm going to tell you what's hard about it. I don't want people to think like me. I want people to think American. That's what I want them to do. Think American.
I want people to think for themselves.
Mister, you got to understand very clearly. Okay? Slavery was horrible. Horrible. Okay? It was bad. But all Americans did not own slaves.
Be right, forget about it, bro. It's not that I don't want to answer your question. I just want to get done building with Edward, bro. I ain't forget about it. It got nothing to do with
I want you to go ahead and
business
answer.
What people are.
Okay, I know. But listen, see what you call them? I call them Americans. You tell me my brothers and sisters. I don't have brothers and sisters. I have fellow Americans. Because I'm an American. Okay? All day, every day. I just happen to be ethnically black. But what we got to do is we got to be very careful that we're saying that there was injury done to people.
I didn't just call you brother. I said brothers.
I know. Okay, Mister, I want to ask you a question, Mister. No, Mister, hold on. Are you only here to answer to respond or answer to understand?
The thing is, I'm responding because I understand where you're coming from. What's frustrating for me is y'all not understanding what the fuck I'm saying. That's where the frustration
maybe it's a you problem.
You told me every victim injury that you believe happened at the hands of an American. That's what you told me. You want to blame the government, whether it's the Democrats or the Republicans. You're telling me that someone...
We got a lot of things on dress. We ain't even talking about Jim Crow yet.
Was people having commerce.
We haven't even gotten to Jim Crow. Hello?
The people that own land, they own actual land, and they needed workers. And those workers happened to be ethnically black people. You know,
focusing solely on, and it was legal, and I get that. But what I'm telling you is, you keep on skipping over these Jim Crow laws and that shit with the 90s.
I don't know why you keep
back to the Jim Crow. Crow.
You know why? You know why I haven't addressed it, mister?
Why?
You know why?
Why? Say it.
Wow, mister. I'm going to go on mute just because you don't know how to address it.
He called me an N-word.
Okay? I'm going on mute.
That's cool, man. You're not one of my airless.
Shit.
You literally on the same level as me, bro. It's all
Yeah.
good, though.
Yeah.
I'm literally y'all a reason or a solution to your problems. Because we keep on saying, man, why black people won't get on board with this? Why black people won't get on board? I'm telling y'all what would solve that problem, and black people can get on board and we can move
Oh, shit. He got the solution.
Hold on. Mister, for the record, no one in this room has said, why aren't black people getting on board? That hasn't been advocated.
That's literally what he was saying, Joe. That's basically what he was saying, Joe. Maybe not.
Hold on. Let me speak for myself, okay? First of all, I don't want black people on board or nothing. I want black people to be an American. I don't know where you get that from. That's not what I was saying, bro.
You want black people to be on board with being American? You want black people to be on board with being American? This is the solution, stupid man.
No. Okay, hold on, mister. It's going to be the last time that you call me an N-word or stupid head. Because you can communicate much better, bro. Okay? Okay, I'm going on mute, okay?
Okay, Edward. On mute anytime. We're waiting, Edward.
Can I answer your question, Beaver?
Yeah, please. If we did so long time ago, this would have been over with.
No, my bad, bro.
Can I say Trump is a waste suit of fucking Israeli plot?
Nobody cares. Shut up.
Damn, they shot the fuck out of him. Beaver, ask your question for me again, because, you know...
All right, if you think need to be accounted for and black people would be on board, which I think you're probably correct. I mean, that is definitely correct. But, like, what could be an example that something could be accounted for? Like, can you give me what you have in mind?
Oh, the same thing we always fucking talk about, Beaver. Reparations, bro. But reparations don't...
You gotta get me my money. I need $75,000.
Black people some type of power.
Ooh. You hello?
Tell me your idea. I'm sorry, I had to cut it. Tell me your idea.
Yeah, it would be a form of black people able to have power to control some industry in America, so that all people
the black industry dominated by the black
and
man.
not just be fucking consumers. That's it. And the reason why I say that is because it's almost been orchestrated for us to be consumers. And I feel bad for these brothers that don't go out and try and create their own. But even when we create our own, we still don't dominate an industry. And it needs to be an industry that we dominate. And we have been shut out of multiple industries when we were trying to actually create something, i.e. maybe even the hair. I'm not asking for y'all to give us support to something, even though my brother came an idea that sounded fire, because we talk about all these black cities, right? The St. Louis, Chicago, Memphis, all of these cities are on the Mississippi River. And I be like, damn, how are you niggas on the Mississippi River and y'all missed out on $350 billion that's being made on the Mississippi River through those ports that are in your city, my nigga? What are y'all doing?
Well,
and so it might, and so Beaver,
making money off those ports. What are you talking about?
And so Beaver, I'll sit here and be like, there is a time where black people in America have to take accountability to where we are in America, because, like you said, we do have the same rights and everything as everybody else. So now, yes, there has to be some type of accountability for us not taking action. But even if we took action, we are 100 years behind. If you look at the wealth gap looks the way it does because it was a head start. And I'm not bitching about it. I'm cool with that. I'm with for myself. My brother down there, the motherfucker, he's well.
I'm gonna waste your Saturday trying to convince you of a scam that'll never happen. And yeah, that's what's up.
It needs to be some type of form of reparations, because now we
gotta be reparated, motherfucker. America. What a waste of time.
Fucking ICE. All right, well,
hello?
Let me say this. If I were you, what I would do, because if the government did this, this would be, unconstitutional to, give something to just that benefits a particular race. Now, reparations would be a different story. But if I were you guys, the markets that you own right now, you dominate professional sports and you dominate entertainment. If you guys were if LeBron and all these guys were we're not going to play until you let us have ownership of these teams, something like that. Use what you have. But that's why I see that's why I see
brother.
And they not really representation of black people. They puppets. That's why I don't like them niggas either. But that's what you have. Those are the cards you have. I agree with you. But then Beaver, we got to take this into account because Ice Cube has his own NBA or his own league that's similar to the NBA. And guess what the NBA is doing? Lock him out. Right. That's why the players should say we're not playing until this happens. You have to use the cards you have. And I agree.
So I have two very practical questions. I have two very practical questions about this.
I got questions. I ain't got no answers.
I'm not telling you my personal opinion. I'm just going to ask you about the Congress. There is a reparations bill called H.R. 40, and it's never made it out of committee.
Oh, it never made
it. My first question is, hold on. My first question is, how do you get that motherfucker out of committee?
I don't know, Marshall. How do we get it out of committee?
Number one, and I can't tell you whether the committee has been dominated by white people or by black people. I'm unsure. That's the first question. The second question is, if we created a rewards, specifically for one grade.
Can I answer that one question before you move
Wait
on?
till I finish asking the question.
How do we get it out of committee? So there's 5 things that you have to do. Committee leadership must schedule it. 1.
Oh, shit.
2, enough members support moving it. 3, House leadership has to prioritize it.
Use ChatGPT to get that answer.
And 5, the Senate and the President.
Oh, my God.
That's how we get it out of committee.
Yeah,
I like that. That's
good one. I like that. That's smart.
Just 16 years ago, we had a black president. Democrat Party had 60 senators, and they had control of the House. They easily could have taken this up.
Joe, that's why he's a bitch ass nigga. That's why we don't. That's why I don't fuck with.
Clearly, the Democrat Party would rather just fundraise off of this issue and use it as a wedge issue to gain power, but never actually address the issue.
But Joe, I'm one of the brothers that's here. Hold on, bro.
Excuses. Clearly, this could have been addressed during Barack Obama's presidency. Democrats had a super majority. They clearly had a super majority. They could have shoved anything down, any agenda they wanted. Yet they batted around for a year Obamacare. Hold on. It carried more to Obama to enrich the health insurance companies than it did to solve any community organizing issue that he rose in power off of.
And Joe, I agree with you totally about everything. I literally debate with my homie about the Obama. No, I agree with you totally. Obama is a bitch ass nigga, man.
Oh my God!
I even say that. And see, but this is where identity politics comes in.
We can only do an hour of that show.
If physicalism is true, on independent grounds, because what that amounts to saying is that, hey, what we really are looking for on physicalism is a theory that reduces the first personal to the third personal, semantically or conceptually, right? So that's not what I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for a theory that says a single object, so a single object item can satisfy description from 2 different directions, if you like, right? So it's it can satisfy description in third personal terms and first personal terms, right? Whereas they want to say, I have to brush my son's teeth. Give me 5-10 minutes.
Me, and I will speak.
I'll be back in a minute.
He's running away. So it says Chalmers responded to that. Where he kind of
a lifted tons of
Type beat is the way they requires something called strong necessities, right? Which just is this idea that like you have a statement, like say pain is identical to C fiber virus or something like that. That statement has a necessary primary intention and a necessary secondary intention, which I won't.
A posteriori necessity or something.
Yeah, but a posteriori. Yeah, Chalmers wants to say, standard Christian a posteriori necessities don't have both necessary one and necessary, right? Okay. They're like one contingent. I think it's. I always forget which one is which. I think it's one contingent, two necessary for the Christian ones.
I don't know. I think it started as a troll, but I think, dude, I don't know. I think there's something going on there. There's like some sort of psychological thing going on there.
Yeah, I think it's inspired speech. He's inspired.
Exactly. I love what he says.
You don't hear the laugh underneath his trolling. There's actually a smile underneath the.
He's like, I figured out the Trinity for you guys.
And he's telling the Muslims the other day, I'm getting them to our side. Because, like, why would you do that's a strategy. Why would you declare it in front of the people you're trying to entice?
I think it's because Mikhail realizes the emanation concept must be the case.
And because of that, they have one. It's one necessary and two necessary, but it's a posteriori because we learn about it from theoretical physics and stuff. We can't just figure that out later.
He has no choice but to go to that.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's where we are.
That's what he says, right?
Other examples.
That's why he's. But isn't that why he says, like, if you reject the Christian metaphysics on the Trinity, you have a problem?
You think there are examples of a posteriori analytic truths?
There's hector in that. And he got escape.
That I'm not so sure about.
The good old days.
It depends. Like, that's an interesting question, but I think it should be kind of separate. Like, I think that you can also know you're analyzing something.
I always go for
He's still inspired by Allah.
Yeah. He's not inspired. He wants all to come to that. To Islam. He's also very motivated. And he's very attached to the Arab in him. Very quickly you'll see, like, in times of high emotional states, the first thing that comes out is his Arabness and the other person's race. Uncontrollable. His attachment to Quran again, the language. So a lot about Arabic, how it's the punch, and has perfect intelligibility.
And it's one of the youngest languages yet.
It is like math though, okay. So
not one of the youngest languages. I feel like Moshe is the only one in here that's not a kafir of their religion.
Moshe is kafir al-Akam, the Nur al-Anur of kafir. He'll never be open to the argument I made to Nizam about the Quran. Just like how Nizam's freaking out, it's behaving like this thing, cray. Mika started to yell at me and cuss at me right away.
What's the argument against the Quran?
It's not against, it's an argument for all scripture actually. The one that I made in the shots, just the basic, to provide evidence for not the truth value, just the historical claim actually. That these are the words of such and such a person.
But isn't that historical claim about the Quran?
I've seen a few times, it's just the lack of organization. Okay, Black Americans have tried to start movements of people that pro-reparations, but this is the thing. Pro-Americans, to a default closure ears. Okay, we know that a lot of Americans aren't ready for that. Okay, you and I think we know, and we also are
A lot
still
of Americans
fighting
aren't ready
that
for a new
systemic corruption in
scam.
the United States. Okay. And we also know that there are some unseen, visible hands that we can't trust because we've seen them dismantle our attempts for reparations. Pro, God knows what else is unsaid. So we have to go outside again. We look to the world and we gotta say, look, world, help us out. This is what we want to do in the United States. Will you work with us? Then we got to get people in all 50 states. We got to get people to sign on all 50 states. It has to be reasonable. And then that list of things that you said, working organizations, having solutions, very organized. Those 5 things that you had listed of how we could get the reparations bill not only out of committee but voted on out of committee to this and approved and implemented. That's what it's going to be. And I mean, I don't think the Jews are going to be too happy about it, but they have wonderful blueprints. They're very organized, and that's what I say.
She's going to beat you. And you have to realize the reason why they have their power is really because
she creates multiple videos.
They control the money. They have always controlled the banks and the money, which is why they got kicked out of 107 countries because they always controlled the money. It was a strategic thing.
Yours is not.
Yeah, Alan, you can go.
I'm gonna go after that.
Yeah. What will you do?
See, here's the thing. Yeah, everything you said about Jews is that's what they do. And you know why it works? They're useful to the people they appeal to. It is useful to have one who knows about banking, or it's useful to have someone who knows about politics. And who are they useful to? The majority. Specifically,
what do you mean? She's
white
a black
people.
woman. That's all the qualifications anyone needs in 2026. She's going to beat you. She creates multiple videos a day. Her momentum is really yours is not. What will you do
and
for
then,
them
of
with
course,
the
when
USA
Biden came
elected?
in, you had Hillary Clinton calling Republicans deplorables, and Joe Biden accusing everyone on the right of being racist MAGA. So I guess the whole idea of representing everyone went out the window. But the point is still valid. When Obama was president, he understood that if he appealed only to black people, 13% of the population, he wasn't going to last as president very long. The point is, you have to represent everyone. That means, unfortunately, as a politician, you have to balance the interests of everyone. Now, how is giving black people 22 trillion or 40 trillion or whatever that number happens to be at the moment, how does that benefit the interests of white Americans? How does it benefit them to say we are going to put the country 22 or $40 trillion or quadrillion, I'm underestimating it. How does that help me in my day-to-day life to give a minority population millions of dollars individually? It doesn't. It doesn't appeal to them. So if you're going to gain political clout, number one, you got to get off this reparations BS, because all it is, and what we recognize it for, is yet another grip over the fact that there was slavery and it was bad for everyone. That's number one. Number two, if you're a black politician, yeah, because white people are the majority of this country, and guess what? In 10 years, when it's Hispanic people, they're not going to give, when they're the majority, they're not going to give you any of their money. I guarantee it, because they hate you more than even white people.
Is there a red dot on
what you see ultimately is you see black politicians who are conservatives getting elected to Congress in their own merit, but you don't see the same coming up in Democrat or blue states. Why? Because you see politicians like Jasmine Crockett or Maxine Waters or others who are just spewing the same racist, anti-white agenda, and the only reason they get elected is because of those districting, which says, oh, okay, we need some ghetto black ratchet politicians in government.
Bro, Maxine Waters ain't like, what the fuck is he talking about? I agree with the Jasmine Crockett shit, but Maxine Waters is like, bro, chill out with that shit. Just make your
right in the streets.
Make your point and shut the fuck up with that shit.
Shut the F up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. You better shut up. Shut up. You better shut up.
In real life,
shut up.
I would fuck you up.
Who in real life he would fuck Alan up?
I would fuck you up in real life.
Move the mic around, man. Move the mic around, man. Fuck you, motherfucker. I'll fuck you up in real life.
You gotta let him finish. You gotta let him finish.
You know, MF, I liked what you said. Okay, I'm not fighting with you, so don't go down that. Okay, who's got the bigger dick? We'll both end up sounding like idiots.
You know I got the bigger dick.
So let me get. I don't know who's measuring.
Yeah, and if you do MF, it's because mine was too big. I had it reduced down to.
It's sorted. So I'll say this. I feel the sentiment 3. Here's my approach to it. So when it comes to Black Americans, the biggest issue that we have, is that we don't operate like the whole world.
Oh shit, they don't operate like the whole world.
The world operates off of families and bloodlines.
Bloodline. Back to the blood.
It's the biggest issue with Black Americans. Because if they actually took the time to do their genealogy, they realize that all of these abandoned lands in various places throughout and overseas and other places, they would realize.
Oh shit, overseas even. They got dominions overseas.
Shit. All I gotta do is go back to what my family owned. But
shit, he gotta go back in time to get what he owed now.
50s, 60s, and 70s used niggas to tell us this story that all black people and all of your ancestors came from Africa, and as if Africans
my people ain't come from Africa's war.
I know. I'm just speaking to the generality.
I don't like them booty scratching niggas either.
Ooh shit.
As if Africans weren't enslaving each other, as if Indians over here weren't enslaving each other, and as if Europeans over there weren't enslaving each other. Slavery was big business all throughout the world at this point in time. And the only way people can kind of unclutter these things is to do their personal genealogy to see specifically what happened to them. Now, some people say, well, slavery in Europe was not like slavery over here. Bullshit. Because I can show you people who did their family tree and went back to Europe and wrote a book about it, and they talked about how their ancestors had their hands tied behind their back, and then they had a lever that pulled their arms up in the air backwards, and they were suspended in the air. And if they didn't tell on who the rest of their family members were, they would release the lever and they would drop down and they would catch it at the last minute and pull their arms out their socket. Like, these are real stories of people who trace their family lineage back to, the 16 and 1500s and, in some cases 1400s. And it's all based on genealogy, but in the 50s and 60s, they put niggas in front of us to tell us this story that, hey, this is your story. They don't know shit of family, but they
doctored up this whole concept that we're going to relegate history to this group of people, and everybody got to believe what this group of people say, and niggas never went back to figure out and validate if what these niggas are saying is true. So now you have a one-size-fits-all story that's watered down, and they just bust the shit down to all black people come from Africa. Okay, now we fast forward to grades. We were taught all of the records from the slave ships were destroyed. This was taught in school. At least that's what I was taught down here in Atlanta. Now, when you open up HR 40, it's only 12 pages, and you read HR 40, section, I think it's like 5E1, literally says they're going to use evidentiary documentation to prove that 4 million slaves came up, and that's what birthed to be the Black American population, the 13% today. Now, how in the hell are you going to prove this if you taught us in grade school that the records were destroyed? This is another Democratic to keep black people focused on what the fuck they can control. And we keep handing over our own destiny, our own ingenuity, our own ability to white blue is the person that's holding you back when literally imposter syndrome. Start 12 businesses, and you can't do all of this bankruptcy shit because our economy is not as developed, and it's going to cause too much financial harm to our economy, and then they start throwing niggas in jail if they file bankruptcy too many times. Like, only in America is where you can do this type of shit. You can fail and fail and fail and fail, and all you need is one opportunity to fuck. So we bought into this story where we are not the controllers and dictators of our own future. And it's always somebody else's issue that we can't fix our own collective and our more importantly, our own individual issue. Saying, okay, I see AI kicking off right now. Let me go and learn something about this shit. Let me sacrifice the shit that I like doing on the weekends, hanging out with the homies and shit like that. I might have to miss a few barbecues. I might have to miss a few birthday parties, gatherings, social gatherings. I might have to miss New Year's. I might have to miss all of this shit because I'm willing to put that aside to sacrifice on the shit that's really important so that way I can change my condition. All of that shit has been relegated to a white man who is our quote-unquote, and this is the goddamn Democrat Party that keep recycling this shit, and it makes it hard for people to get out of the hole because they think somebody else is responsible for their condition. When at the end of the day, it's our own issue. That's what the fucking problem is.
Hey, Tori, good to see you. Good to see you, brother. I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Did you say that other nations had slaves?
Yes, sir.
So are you telling me that what I was taught, that black people were the only victims of slavery? Was that wrong teaching?
That's not what you was taught. That's wrong teaching. Chattel slave shit is way like, bro, stop it.
Let me finish.
Fucking cool.
Oh, mister, why are you jumping into a conversation?
There was no difference, bro. There was no difference. Maybe how you became a slave was different, but the conditions on a plantation, whether that plantation was in America, whether that plantation was in Africa, plantation was slavery.
Well, I got Haiti are two examples of the Europeans participating. They got a lot, the English and the French got a lot of their early money at the beginning of the 1700s out of those slave plantations. I agree.
Let's let Edward finish his point.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And the reason why it's Sword, I wasn't taught that. Sword, that you and I've had conversations about the fact that we're responsible for our own lives. And for me to think at 62 years old, some white guy is sitting in his home thinking about Edward would be asinine. I'm not going to teach it to my children or my grandchildren. I'm going to teach my children that they are in the best experiment in the history of men. We're an ideal. Now, if you don't like the ideal, then you're going to miss out, because everything else is a bunch of noise. And what you said, Sword, about what you call that they've been teaching for years and years and years and doing this over and over, is just absolutely crazy that a group of people could be so bewildered in 2026 by the Black Caucus, all of the people out here talking about chattel slavery and all this other stuff, that we were treated so bad, but yet we still stand tall. Because, and I'll end on this, I grew up in the era of crack cocaine. I seen them on the streets of Springfield, Massachusetts.
You smoking?
And I've never done drugs in my. I don't care what they bring. I don't care how many make drugs legal. I don't care how much alcohol they make legal. Every individual person still have a choice. Okay, we keep believing that just because someone dropped something off in someone's neighborhood, that all of a sudden the drug shit jumped on them. Every individual person is responsible for the outcome of their own.
I'm sorry, Edward, but yes, I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking about you. I go to sleep at night, I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about you all the time. So there is, in fact, a person who is thinking about you all the time. I just want to let you know that.
Bro, you had. I'm gonna say one more thing.
Alan, I go, Alan. I think you cut off. Say it again.
I'll just land by saying this. Yeah, we gotta stop doing the blame thing, man. And I'm not saying you all three, because I know your position, bruh. Like, if you are an example of the possibility, there's nothing that's stopping another brother or sister from doing the same thing. Inspiration can come from anywhere. Here, who can't even speak the fucking language, can't write, can't read. How the fuck are they able? Yeah, I get it. Sometimes there's programs.
Dang, Sword. Me or Sword?
Yeah, get right here, Sword.
Hey, look, Sword gets his connection better. I'll weigh in here. When you look back in history, the idea of reparations has been sold in many different forms. In '99, the Housing Act passed by Truman that created the poverty centers in urban cities was used by the Democratic Party to be able to relocate black voters so they could take majorities in many of the cities. However, when you look back on it years later, it's blamed as one of the causes of racial disparity. Same with the education reforms and the Great Society by LBJ. There's an idea, it's sold in the essence of we need to help with black folk, and then years later, it gets reframed as if it's a part of the issues of disparity. We've seen many different issues come up over the years, affirmative action, as lately as DEI. As long as black folks continue to believe that they're not being used as political pawns in this game, that it advances some sort of issue that allows that party to gain power, and then is later, as it loses its luster, it then gets framed as being a cause of the disparity between it. It keeps black folk trapped in this idea that there's still this, society hasn't done enough. So, I support the Republican Party using the idea of reparations to advance a conservative agenda. I think the federal government owns way too much land. 28% of the United States of America is owned by the federal government. A lot of that land is area energy below it. I would support honoring the deal that was made of issuing 40 acres to of chattel slavery, as long as there was a competitive agreement between energy companies where they can go in and get that energy out, and then black folk would be able to then gain.
Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, the axle of infinite space, is the prince, priest, the beast, and in his woman called the Scarlet Woman is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold, shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. 16, for he is ever a sun and she a moon, but to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight, but ye are not so chosen. 18 burn upon their brows, O splendorous serpent. 19, O azure-lidded woman, bend upon them. 20, the key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto him.
As a curiosity and kind of a problem to be solved. And if you hear him speak, his mindset is completely different. And it makes a big difference on your attitude towards opportunity in America. And you know, it's sort if you're still there, I'm driving. Yeah, you're still there. No, when you were talking about genealogy and not knowing your genealogy, I wasn't sure where you were going with it. But what I get from that, you know, what is, if I understood you, is that, or I'll interpret what you said. I won't try to assume to know everything of what you meant. But what I get from that is that, yeah, genealogy can be important, but it's not the be-all and end-all. And as an example of that, one of the billionaires that Trump looks up to and saw, I don't know if he was ever a mentor, was a guy named Kirk Kerkorian. And he came to this country, he was an immigrant, he came to this country with nothing, and yet ended up being a billionaire. So, yeah, all of that is important or can be important, but it's not a limitation. And yeah, and I got your point that the Democrats use that as yet another creating yet another another crutch to control the narrative of black people in this country.
Force the Democrats to then
Good
try.
afternoon. I'm sorry, Tim.
Yeah. Hey, Anthony. Oh, I'll pass you the mic right after. Look, force the Democrats then to have to take away the energy drilling on federal lands from actual voters, that vote predominantly for Democrats, not in whole, but predominantly for Democrats. You would be pinning a voting block against their primary party in many aspects. So, but that's all it is. I mean, but it won't solve it. Just so people know, the issue will come back up in another 30, 40, 50 years, rebranded and reframed, and whatever issues come from that. The corporations took all the money. We didn't get enough. You name what it is, right? Like there will be some grievance that comes from it, and the best I can say is eventually black folk that still fall for a lot of this political rhetoric, that they have to break from that idea. I think Edwards got the idea. You got to think of yourself as an American, not as, just your identity, your skin color, right?
Joe.
Until that pattern broke.
I'm confused by you. Are you a
Sam,
Republican?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Anthony, but this guy's confusing.
Yes, I'm a Republican. Go ahead, Anthony.
Are you conservative?
So
very conservative, like very, very conservative. Yes, I don't believe the federal. Like, let me give you an example. I don't believe the federal government should own roughly 28% of the country. Do you? I believe in limited government. I believe in limited government.
Maybe that's where I'm a little. Maybe if you want to call me a liberal conservative Republican, I believe in preservation of the land. I don't want corporate sector to just gobbling up all those nature preserves.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not talking about getting rid of Yosemite, but there's a lot of lands. I mean, look at the state of Nevada. There's a lot of land that has natural gas under it that the federal government is not allowing any development on, that we could clearly develop on. And using some sort of social issue to advance it. These aren't places where people want to live. And I'm not saying going and taking Rocky Mountain National Park. No, these areas should be preserved. However, get out in your car and drive through the West and pull out a map and look. It's easy to find how much federal land is owned. And this is where those debates over, especially out in Alaska, the federal, when every time the Democrats get in power, they rescind the permits to be able to drill for that energy, right? And then when the Republicans get back in office, they reissue those permits to drill on federal land. Well, to take that argument completely away, you pin a voting block against the Democrats is the agenda.
Okay, well, I guess the difference between me and you is just debating really whether that land should be used or not. Because there's a lot of beautiful land I don't want to see get ruined. Factories and drilling sites. The United States of America is beautiful topography-wise.
Yeah, but it's the only area. If you look at the East, isn't owned by the federal government. Many areas in the West is owned by the federal government. To the tune of 28% of our land is owned by the federal government. I don't know if a lot of people know that. That land should be handed back over to the states for the states to be able. Now there's bases and there's location. Some of the areas wouldn't be usable, but areas out like in the Nevada region and stuff, it's all natural gas out there. And this is just desert. And I mean, what do you mean? Like, you don't want us to be able to use our land?
No, I get you, because I travel to 42 states. I get you with Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico. I just don't want like Oregon, the beautiful areas like Oregon, Northwest, Midwest regions, that nature, beautiful nature, just,
This man is
I
a
don't
clown.
like that
He thinks
tough
he
shit.
can win by creating Trump
Out
hate
there in the
videos
desert,
every
New
day.
Mexico, where it's just out miles and miles and miles of just desert. Fine, nobody's gonna know it. It's not, but out there, Midwest, Northwest.
I didn't want to ask Sam a question.
Edward, let's please not go any further down this rabbit hole, man. It's an obscure point.
It's okay.
I don't even know how we got on it, but I just wanted to address something when I came in the room. Alan was talking I deferred to the moderator, Joe, and so I just want to hop in really. I noticed, Alan mentioned genealogy. There's a comment in the chat about genealogy. I don't know what came prior to me coming in. I'm not indicting anybody's comments. I really don't care about genealogy. I think it's stupid, but that's just, I'm one man with one opinion. It doesn't really matter. As it relates to...
Okay, this is John Kitover. Go to ChicagoMayorVote.com, ChicagoMayoral.com, John Kitover, Chicago.com, MayorKitover.com. We're listening to a group of supposed conservatives talk about everything under the sun today. I hope you're having a beautiful Saturday.
I was watching...
Shalom. Enjoy.
Matt Walsh, and he did a little episode on John Brown. Very interesting episode. I recommend everybody go. And it brought something to my attention that I had no idea about. Didn't know this, and I'm embarrassed. A lot of people don't probably know this, but I had no idea. In the Confederate States, prior to the Civil War, does anybody know what percentage of white people owned slaves?
1%.
It was less than 5%. Less than 5%.
Less than 5% of all people. So 5 out of every 100 owned a slave.
We need to stop talking about this shit. This idea of reparations.
It is a scam.
It's such a dumb idea. It's so
it ain't dumb. You're gonna get $100,000 check. A lie so good, y'all so good it ain't even a lie no more.
For slavery. That dog will never, ever.
I was in the army.
It just needs
of the
to
Republic.
stop being attacked. My humble opinion.
Yeah, I think I agree. It needs to be stopped. It needs to stop being a topic. But it's not going to stop until our country has felt that there has been necessary and sufficient repair of what the implications of what the legacy of slavery left to the United States and what we still experience today. I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied. I think there's more things that we could do. And honestly, I hate to say this, but I get frustrated by everybody talking about, oh, it's a stupid idea, blah, blah. No, it's not.
Reparations is not a stupid idea. It's so smart. We give every dark skin colored person $100,000. Idea just because of the color of the skin, the way that the light reflects the melatonin.
The opportunities that the country offers is amazing. We just have to be organized enough to get the word out and to figure out how we can move forward. There are
gotta get the reparation word out, and then everything gonna be okay. Everything gonna be normal again. No more racism ever.
Reparation organizations or band type deal. I think that there could be so much done with that. You have
it's a great idea.
NCOBRA, right? That Marshall brought up, and HR 40. That NCOBRA, that's all NCOBRA, National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America. That is still around today, and they're doing great things. When I was in Kansas, my father-in-law, he was part of just a Kansas City coalition. And it's, I would say it's a coalition, something like that. But it by a guy named Mickey Dean, who was the founder of that. And it's a Kansas City Reparations Coalition, right? And these are all grassroots stuff, grassroots reparation organizations, right? There is stuff in, there's a Robin Simons, First Repair. She did this whole thing where she helps people understand how to pass and how to work with your state and your local cities to pass local reparation programs. This is the type of shit that we need to be continuously educating everybody else so we can get the things that we need to do. And the last thing that I'm saying, the states, this is what I don't hear that it's talked about a lot, and I think that it's so wonderful, okay?
in the United States, we have 50 states, and we have, believe it or not, we have different ways of going about passing legislation. We have direct democracy states, and we have indirect democracy states. Do you know what direct democracy states means? Direct democracy states has things that are, they're called initiatives and referendums, which means that you as an ordinary citizen don't have to first get enough people, to convince enough people in the population, to convince them to all get on board with voting for one person and then getting that one person elected. No, this is direct democracy. All you need to do is you need to get enough people, a percentage of your population, to agree that something should be seen as a vote, right? And it goes right to the fucking ballot, which means you get enough of the population to with signatures, and it goes right to that, and then it passes as law. Wow. Okay, so where are the direct democracy states? This is what I would do. I would look at the direct democracy states and look at the ones that have the biggest populations of Black Americans, because this is, and I'll explain why that's important.
My love.
Just need a percentage. Hold on, I'm almost done.
You bring a lot. You said you'll explain, and that you sound like you're almost done. It's a lot.
Your shit, okay? You gotta listen to my shit, okay? So then you get into one of these direct democracy states that has the largest number of Black Americans, and the reason you want to do that is because it's going to get easier. You don't need any white people to pass the fucking state law or to change the Constitution. You just need enough people that are going to the percentage required to pass that fucking thing. And it's literally as simple as that. That was how the entire trajectory of the weed population, I don't remember his name, but I worked with the very first person who ever passed any type of legislation for marijuana in Washington. It was a guy years and years ago, and it had to do with, this is what he used. This is how I learned about it. I was in college at the time. It was an initiative, direct democracy state. So that's all that we have to do. And we could start passing reparations on the local level, on our state levels, okay? And we don't need to convince other population or the dominant majority to pass it. You just need enough people in the state, and point blank period. And that's what we need to do. We need to start educating people about that.
If I may be, Mom?
Yeah.
I will pass the throne to Mr. Edward or Mr. Anthony.
Well, this is one thing. I think that Bima, you miss what Anthony said from the very beginning.
No,
he asked you
intentionally.
Hold on. I know you did, but you even though you said you want to avoid it, you can't take away historical facts. Before the Civil War, less than 5% of the American population owned slaves. And what you have to do, which he didn't give you, was 3,000 of those were Black people who owned slaves. Okay? So when you talk about these things, you got to actually know, understanding history. We got to stop thinking that the people that owned slaves were landowners.
They just have to do with slavery, Edward.
Bima, let me finish, Bima.
You understand that?
Yeah, Bima, of course I understand that.
Well, then why does it matter?
It does matter. You know why? Because you're asking the other 95% of the American people that did not participate in slavery to pay for it. That's why it matters.
No, I'm asking that. No. That's not what. I'm asking. Okay, that's not what I'm asking.
No, I get.
Can I finish?
Well, yeah, sure, but it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Anthony, because Anthony made a great point. Before the Civil War, there was a certain population of men and some women who purchased slaves. This was their business. It had nothing to do with the federal government. Now we're asking the federal government, you said, direct democracy states and all these other places, to get people to vote for them. This is not how commerce works. Okay? I land on this, guys, so I keep it very short. I don't think or comprehend that I should be, Edward, compensated for work I never did. I don't need someone to pay me reparations for something I, Edward, never did. And those who did it are no longer here. And for me to be fighting for something I never earned is just for Edward, not for anybody else, is absolutely crazy to me. I land.
Okay.
Mr. Anthony.
Hold on one
You were
second.
next.
So I just wanted
Mr.
to
Anthony was
respond to
next.
Edward. Yeah, but I wanted to respond to Edward. The reason that doesn't matter, okay, is because it's not just about slavery. It's as I explained, it's the legacy, right? It's the idea, the concept of what caused the divide and the racism that then lasted because of the small. Do you know that almost all the Christian sects, almost all of them, okay, justified slavery in the United States? That's why you have the northern and you have the southern Baptist. You have the northern. They split because they couldn't come. No, this isn't Christian. And almost all of the Christian, and I'm talking Christian, the Christian religions had to come with apology letters. The Catholics, the Presbyterians, the Baptists, you name it, all of them. They had to come out with apology letters. They're still coming out with them in the 21st fucking century because of how they were able to. Why am I bringing this up? The point I'm bringing up is because this was a disease that infiltrated America, and the thought then infiltrated our legislation. So we had slavery, yeah, sure. But then it moved to other things. We don't even have to, the reparations bill, we don't have to go back to slavery. We could just go to the New fucking deal. And I say this all the time. The New Deal which built the modern day middle class white in the United States, because who was left out of it effectively and entirely? Black Americans. So the federal government got together, got everybody, and said, okay, we're going to give you this with injections here, insurance here, all of the wealth building here, all this, everything. And Black Americans were effectively pushed out. What I'm saying is, fucking repair that. If you passed a bill, you do a 2.0, a New Deal 2.0, because that's and not until I'm done.
Yeah.
Do a New Deal 2.0, and what you fucked up. And yes, every person in the middle class that today, fuck it, if it was built by the New Deal, okay, and all of those, most of those acts that are still alive today, that still dominate the structure of our society and the threads of our society, they just wanted to remove race. They made it race neutral, and all of a sudden, no. If it's the same exact fucking structure that built the cup, and you just remove the color of the cup, you think that the cup isn't going to do the same exact thing that it was intended to do? Okay, that's what we have to destroy. Or we have to repair it. So these are things that we can objectively point to and say, look, because all of this is documented. You don't have to agree with me. We have documented. We know who.
You say all of this is documented.
Who was left out. We know who the federal government, how the federal government. I mean, it's there, and we can objectively quantify. We could see today people who are living today that have actually been hurt. Do you know that some of these reparations?
No, Beamer, no. You're not gonna start changing, Beamer. Please, please don't start changing, dude. Beamer, you can't keep on starting on these crazy tangents. It's terrible, Beamer.
I know. And the last thing I'm going to say is that there are organizations that teach other people how to sue the government to get what is owed to them. Okay,
beautiful.
Justice for Greenwood was
Complete
one
thought. Thank you. You're landing on a complete thought. Alan, go ahead. I'll go after.
Yeah.
I go after you, Anthony.
Because you kind of missed the point of what she was saying. And Edward, I think you did too. Regardless of whether it's right or wrong, or if there were 3,000 black slaveholders, what she's saying is you get enough votes, you can pass a law that would give reparations. That she's stating a political. What you're missing, Bima, is that if you do that, the people and you do it on a local level, the people who have money, they're going to leave. And you've seen that, I forget where it was, but there was one town that voted themselves to separate from the black part of town, and the black part of town is all up in arms because all of the money to support their social programs was coming from the white part of town. And now they're like, well, now we don't have money to do all the things that we want to do because it was coming from white people. And that's exactly what is going to happen. Yes, Beam is correct. You can vote in reparations. But the moment you do that, the people who you're getting that money from are gone. And you see that over and over and over again. That's why reparations is a non-issue. And yeah, all of those things, and let me address your last point. Yes, all of those things happen. Guess what? That's what the 60s were about. You got your reparations. We're done. And like Joe said, yeah, every generation we address this issue of, yeah, we did shitty things to black people. Let's make it up to them. And the Democrats say, okay, let's make it up to them. And yet that ends up being the thing in the next generation, which is, well, those things that we voted for in our generation, well, now that thing is the reason why we have disparities today. We're tired of hearing the reparations that we gave past generations being the excuse why there are disparities today and why we need to yet again give even more money to a problem that is ultimately your problem. Stop believing trads. You have a seat at the table. Use it. Stop blaming others. I'm done.
So Alan, I appreciate it, man. Now, like, Joe, he succinctly, like, got to the heart of the matter. It'll never be enough. That's the truth of the matter. Even if we went with Beamer's worldview, it will never be enough. If we were to negotiate with some terrorists and give them what they asked for, you know what they're going to do? They're going to come back and ask for more. Now, I just want to, I'm not going to be like Beamer. I love the girl, but I'm not going to be like her. I'm not going to be long-winded and belabor points and all of this nonsense. Yo, the United States of America inherited slavery. It didn't invent slavery. It didn't create slavery. It inherited slavery. A minute percentage of the United States citizens owned slaves. A percentage of the people that owned slaves happened to also be black. This idea that someone who was never a slave is owed money for slavery by people who never owned slaves does not make any sense whatsoever. Lastly.
Yes, sir.
This idea, you know what? You got it, bro. I'm just gonna mute up. I got the gist of what I wanted to
touch on what you and Mr. Edwards were saying, Mr. Anthony. You know, and also Mr. Allen and Joe B. You know, Generation X. Like, if you were born before 1980, like, you know, we used to go streets. We knew each other. We would, like, hang out streets because we were stuck out of the house on our BMX bikes drinking out of garden hoses. Like, I'd be over at Anthony's, like, house and eating food and his parents and his family. And then, like, he'd be over the next night at house. And we would build ramps and jump over ditches. And, like, you know, the younger generation has this racial thing really screwed up. Because I didn't recognize this racial divide until after, like, 2012. Like, it became a new thing. Like, I'm like, oh, there's racism? Like, you know, I didn't see it my whole life. I mean, what, I'm not allowed to go over to Mr. Anthony's house or Mr. Edwards' house and have dinner? What? Because I'm white? Like, or my appearance of melanin in my skin? Like, no. Y'all young people keep putting this thing on there. And you're talking about reparations. I agree with what Mr. Allen was saying about the 60s because I agree with you on that one, sir. And like Mr. Anthony, like, straight to the crux of it. Like, not everybody owns, like 95% of everybody didn't have anything to do with any of it. But you want that 95% of their tax money to pay for the reparations for what you said the 5% did. And then, like you said also, that there was a small group of black, slave owners that were part of the population as well. Like, where do you draw the line? And I'll land right here. I'm like 8% Nigerian. I'm Hasidic Jew. I'm English and from Ireland. Like, dude, that's why I look the way I look. But I'm just a fucking American. And why do you think, like, after my service, from all the shit that I did with the military, that you think that you can get my money to pay for your new Gucci bag? And I land there.
All right, so I want to jump in there. So let me start by saying this. Bima, I dislike what you're doing. I respect your admiration. But what I'm telling you, what you think you're doing is not helping black people. The only thing you're doing is continuously feeding them with a crutch that allows them to stay on the couch and not get up and support their fucking self. Again, I'm going to go back to this story. We were told this story, and niggas never went back to fact check the accuracy of the story. And it took black people and put them in front of us. And we can see, if we just look at our lives today and we look at how these black Democrats act, we know that these black folks do not have our best intentions at heart. So this shit just didn't start today. They ain't got our best intentions at heart today. They did not have our best intentions at heart a few hundred years ago. Because if you believe this story as the way they tell it, and what I'm talking about is the story of the transatlantic slave trade, then there's a big gaping question that niggas got to deal with. Number one, you can tell me a bunch of white people went over to Africa, hit you up, brought you to America, and then put you in the wheel, gave you all the land in the 1800s, billions of acres of land, only to turn around and take it back from you? That makes no fucking sense. I brought you over here. I put you to work on the plantation. I willed you the land, because a lot of black people in the South got land in their name, only to then turn around and take the land right back from you. That makes absolutely zero sense at all. It doesn't make, you don't even have to be a historian to understand how that don't make sense. So if the black people who were the slave owners, would they have to pay reparations? Because it wasn't a small group. It was actually a significant number of black people that was actually slave owners in the South. You had some black melanated people who were classified as white on the census. But the only way you can know these things is by doing a genealogy to figure out who the hell these people are. You wouldn't be able to take today's perspective and apply these terms to events in a time frame that occurred 200 years ago. You would have to go back to English common law, read their books, understand how they define things. And what you will understand is that the term white, as it applies to a classification, represented a landowner. That's it, that's all. It did not have a complexion. It did not have a religion tied to it. It was a classification that you were a landowner. So who could be a landowner? Anybody could be a landowner, but they're classified on the census as white. Number two, you cannot criminalize, and this is in the Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, ex post facto.
You cannot penalize and say that something was unlawful when, according to the law books, and every single lawyer at that time confirmed that slavery, however bad y'all think it is, was legal. There was 3 ways you could become a slave. Number 1, a prisoner of war.
In the show, and I think I was like, that's what's it, like broken arrow, that's the broken eagle or the this, and I'm like, how do I know this? And it was because I would listen to Dan Carlin's podcast, and when Vikings was on TV.
Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, the axle of infinite space, is the prince, priest, the beast, and in his woman called the Scarlet Woman is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. 16, for he is ever a sun and she a moon, but to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight, but we also chosen. 18 burn upon their brows, O splendorous serpent. 19, O azure-lidded woman, bend upon them. 20, the key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto him.
Facility or like on another facility, basically your own.
Rafi,
I do.
You can mute Marshall because I can't do it.
Okay, 1 second. Here you go.
Thanks, Rafi. I do it all myself.
Okay, no, because we just acquired a pharmaceutical company that does like colognes for Umbra and all those.
Sure.
That's why I asked.
No. I like.
No, because we're basically a bottling plant for all this pharmaceuticals, like for cosmetics right now. We have the equipment, so that's why I asked.
You have to give me. You have to give me your contact. I'm always looking for perfume bottles.
Yeah, we have everything.
Send me a DM. But no, I do everything. I buy the oils from around the world.
You need a machine that bottles?
No, I do that. I do it by hand.
Black and white. What I'm kind of not understanding.
This is a word for word.
it's the wrong link. I'm sorry. That was the wrong link. That's the wrong link. Oh, he's coming to tell us that we wasted our time all day talking online. And John is going to shoot his shot in a few seconds here. And then he's going to run out of another troll.
Before he goes on, I'm so proud of him for reading The Wish of Selfishness, except I took 2 days to read it. Max. Yeah. John has been reading it for the past month. So proud of John Kitover.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And it's because I'm reading it in 3-minute intervals and putting it on YouTube so I can go back and listen to it. And, you know, it's terrifying when you actually read a book and then you realize how ignorant people are on this app, that they wouldn't actually be able to run a pizza shop. It's unbelievable. And I'm sorry about redundantly complaining about your redundancies and how you just keep repeating yourselves, and therefore I keep repeating myself. But hey, you know, some of us never went to prison and sat, you know, in solitary confinement for crimes. And then you come on social audio chats and you say you fucked your wife the other night. Oh God, I'm sure your wife just finds you so entertaining talking about your personal sex life on a social audio chat app. Disgusting. Vile. This is a husband? This is a church leader who redundantly just talks to Muslims all day long as if he's a crusader or something? What's the point of all this? Is there something happening here? Is it an experience? Because, you know, you're not the only room. There's a lot of R-word rooms on this app that I go in and I remind them all the time. Maybe we should read a book together, everybody. Because for months and years, you've accomplished nothing. You just keep having the same conversation every day. You just keep repeating yourself every single day. What's the point of doing it?
I gotta put him in the audience. I can't. Anyway.
He's not wrong.
Back to this verse.
He's not wrong.
11. 5 crucial verses here. 5 crucial verses. 5 sentences. I don't know what's going on here. Seth, have you had an opportunity to read this chapter? I never read this chapter before in my life. And this is going to be my favorite chapter in the Quran. By far.
You haven't read this chapter before?
Never in my life before today.
You weren't aware of this chapter?
Never once was I ever aware of such fucking jibber jabber my entire life.
Catholic, you're not aware of the 5th chapter of the Quran that you've been obsessively reading and doing?
111. We're on 111.
All right.
Not the 5th chapter. I read up to. Wait, why do we change the link? Put the link up. Hold on. I'm putting the link up because I want to do a word-for-word translation here.
Surah, which one?
It's in it. I put it at the top. Let Joanna read this so she can read how much of a fucking mess this chapter is. Go ahead, Joanna. Joanna, make the most sense of this, please.
Where do I go?
Word for word, right at the top.
Oh, right at the top.
Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, a soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. And in his woman, called the Scarlet Woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. For he is ever a sun, and she a moon. key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto him. These are fools that men adore, both their gods and their men are fools. 12 come forth, oh children, under the stars and take your fill of love. 13, I am above you and in you, my ecstasy is in yours. My joy is to see your joy. 14, the temperature is the naked splendor of the wind. She bends in ecstasy to kiss the secret orders of the deep. Winged globe, the starry blue are mine, Wenkavna Konsu. These are fools that men adore, both their gods and their men are fools. 12 come forth, oh children, under the stars and take your fill of love. 13, I am above you, and in you my ecstasy is in yours. My joy is to see your joy. 14 above, the gemmed azure is the naked splendor of the wind.
I'm getting blood, playing with you. Supper.
All right, I'll. Can you hear me? I'll make it short. I'll wrap it up. So all I'm saying is this: the Constitution is in a place for a reason. It's the law of the land. Nobody's gonna violate the Constitution for anybody's morals, especially when
when you're talking about taking this up as a legislative form and you want to come back. You know the funny part about it? I bet you nobody can explain when slavery became illegal. Most people don't understand how this governmental system works. They don't understand that we're operating in the dual federalism position right now. They don't understand why some of the states still have laws on the book that permit slavery, and they don't understand how did they become a 14th Amendment citizen, and who was it for, and how did you actually get out of slavery, and what was the reason why. They don't know.
Hello?
They just
right now, but they have no jurisdiction for people know that. I swear, you're so insane. What are you doing? What are you listening to? I hear a Clubhouse room playing in the background.
Yeah, I'm blocked from that room. It's the President Trump room with Beaver and Bima and Joe and Sword and Matt and Pepe. And it's amazing how. Are you in favor of black reparations?
It depends on how they're paid out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could work if it was in form of education or medical advancements or, investing in small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends on how the reparations. I don't engage with the reparations conversation because I think it's kind of mute. But it depending on how it's paid out, or land, if it's land, giving descendants land, then sure, something that would benefit generations or families outside of financial. I think they need to be in the form of something tangible, not just giving out a check. That's what I think.
So in my PTR, I'm holding a book called The Virtue of Selfishness. And it says something, her name is Ayn Rand or Ayn Rand, and I had never read her before, but people on here, constantly talk about her. So I was like, all right, I'm going to have to read.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the Fountainhead. Go ahead.
It says, when I say capitalism, I mean a full, pure, uncontrolled, unregulated, laissez-faire capitalism with a separation of state and economics in the same way and for the same reasons as the separation of state and church. A pure system of capitalism has never yet existed, not even in America. Various degrees of government control have been undercutting and distorting it from the start. Capitalism is not the system of the past. It is the system of the future, if mankind is to have a future. So, we all know separation of church and state, but have you ever heard anybody say separation of state and economics? No, you've never heard anybody say that. And reparations is the opposite of that. It is state and economics. So it's not capitalism and it's not natural. And all I can say is it's an impossible thing to implement because there will be the lawsuits because it's discriminatory. And then how do you actually determine lineologically or based on, all that history? Like, it's just become so convoluted, complex, and impossible. But either way, the future is capitalism, meaning that there probably will be like a new country eventually based off of the corporation as opposed to the state.
Oh, it's not hard to. Well, that's the thing about it. Lineage-based reparations, in my opinion, it's not. That wouldn't be a challenge. The government knows, based on records, historical records. I do believe the Freedmen's Bureau is one of them. I think it's the Freedmen's Bureau. They know who the descendants of slaves are. I mean, slave owners kept records of their slaves. Their slaves generally had the last names of their slave owners. And if, through census and birth records, I think it's possible to trace down to the last end of every descendant of every slave, that every descendant walking today, could they be traced to the past? I'm not necessarily saying it would be 100% effective, but I don't think lineage-based reparations would be challenging for foundational Black Americans. And that's where it gets tricky, because then everyone says, those who oppose it, and even some Black Americans who oppose it, they say, well, what about immigrants? What about African Caribbean immigrants? Do they qualify? No. because they're now foundational Black Americans. They cannot trace their ancestry to slavery in this country. And so yeah, lawsuits, and that gets a little tricky too, because then why is it discriminatory? It impacts descendants of slaves. That label right there, nobody else in the country qualifies for that label, falls under that category. You're not a descendant of slaves. You weren't on the boats. You weren't from Africa. Why would anybody feel discriminatory about that? Right?
Well, let me say this. In the other room, in the President Trump rooms, a black guy, I can't remember his name. You know who he is. He said that only 5% of Southern whites owned slaves. Only 5%. So 95% of all the people living in the South were not owners. They were participants in the economy, but not owners. It was 5%. But the other thing is, the North didn't have slavery. So, the per capita question to play. Why would Northerners who died at like 500,000 at least? So I'm just saying that the blood has been spilled to such a degree, and so how do you actually? Because it's a tax essentially. It will be, and I ran the numbers. If it was 1 trillion, it would be 75,000 each. But then would the government make you sign like a non-disclosure agreement, meaning that you are barred from engaging in race hustling? You can no longer claim America is racist because apparently, money and the final decree, consent decree, will forever bar the complainers. That's what I'm saying. Is if you want a payout, you've got to agree and sign a piece of paper that we can hold up and say, okay, you can't complain anymore. Sorry, it's not racist anymore. I'm just saying that this is actually like talking about the weather, or even politics. It's just.
But you don't see how people who are pro reparations, they feel that the descendants are owed reparations because their ancestors, specifically the freed men and women, were promised certain tangibles after slavery. They were promised, the whole 40 acres and a mule, promise, I suppose, for lack of a better words. And because these freedmen and women did not get their land, they didn't get what the government promised them. Was it Lincoln who promised? I forget. And so the descendants feel we're still you did not give our ancestors what you promised. That debt still needs to be repaid. So it's about repayment of debt, not apology. It's a repayment of debt, not necessarily saying racism is over and done. We can never say that. No, this is what you owed our great whomever. And since you didn't pay them, you have to pay us. We're the descendants of those people.
Got it. Okay. But aren't the reparation arguments more like a vaccine, meaning that it's a blanket one-all cure-all for everybody? Whoever can claim it. So that's what I'm saying is, if you can actually claim that in 1865 your great-great-great-great-grandfather got fucked over and didn't get his free land, well, okay, but that's a separate personal lawsuit. That's not a blanket, everybody gets a $75,000 check if you got dense melatonin. You see what I'm saying? How do you actually parse out the actual victims versus the social woke policy adjustment? That's the crux. I mean, how do you actually do it?
And that's just the thing about it. If the government were to get serious about reparations and have that conversation and decide, yes, we are going to make good with the descendants of slaves and figure out how we can give them reparations, I suspect that will be part of the clauses or requirements you have to prove this, that, and the other. Some might have to trade, like I said, use census, use those DNA tests or those root tracer tests, what a 1, 2, 3 and me, African ancestry, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'm sure there will be a lot of requirements. I'm going to be very vague on this because I don't have the story in front of me.
But I know California was trying to do something similar within the last year or so, give reparations to Southern Californians or black people in a certain region, or I don't know if it was throughout the entire state, but part of the requirements were to prove X, Y, and Z in order to qualify for these cash payouts and these checks up to something. Again, I'm vague because I don't have it in front of me. But I think the points you raised, John, would be, you listen, first of all, we know this government does not want to give black folks no money in the form of reparations. And so if, like I said, to wrap it up, if they were to have this conversation to decide, okay, yeah, we're going to give black folks, we're going to make good, we're going to apologize for the horrors of slavery and clean, of course they're going to make it challenging for foundational black Americans to collect. And you're right. Not everybody's going to get a check. So
yeah, and then how do you actually prove, like, how do you disprove that you were, because again, this all comes down to individual lawsuits, collective lawsuit, because some people probably were compensated and did get their land, and some people probably got cheated and screwed. Some people actually got what they were going to get. So how do you get those people? That's what I'm saying. It just becomes an impossibility. The real...
You don't think the government works of all of these transactions?
Was sitting where, Nye? In some underground vault? No!
Listen, you're trying to tell me, you're trying to tell me that the government does not have records of how...
They have census.
What plots of land were
That's at the goal. The federal government doesn't keep those records. That would be the county dean recorder's office. That would be one way to prove your case. That's why I'm saying you can't collective class action lawsuit. This has to be individual.
But let me tell you what you can do. Actually, what we can do is there are companies that benefited then during slavery and that were a lot of company foundations are rooted in the slave trade. Now, of course, these companies, their names have changed over the past 100 or so years. Companies like J.P. Morgan, et cetera, a lot of banking systems, they would not exist without the slave trade, okay? And all slave auctions. So what we do is we find out who those companies are, and we go for them. We go to them to get the money. That's all. Who are the companies that benefited from the slave trade and slave auctions? Who were the companies that were allowed to, flourish and develop all across the world thanks to their involvement in slavery? And those are the companies that we hit up today and get reparations. The taxpayer never, fuck the tax. We don't have to bother the taxpayer. Hit up the corporations. There's enough of them. That's
a very general statement with no specifics, no AI research, no Google. You didn't give any real examples.
Well, listen, you don't have to do AI. Listen, you don't have to do AI and Google quick. If you remember, if you have at least a vague memory of U.S. history, okay? And I say vague in my case because I haven't been in a U.S. history class in decades. We need to get a historian up in here to really articulate this properly. But anybody who has a basic understanding of U.S. history knows about companies the companies that flourished, or let me not even say flourished, were established thanks to slave auctions and investments through cotton, okay, and slave trading. And some of these companies, many of these companies still exist today. Again, it would take you to pull up the top, 100, 500 top corporations of the world and go down the rabbit hole of their inception.
I only brought the topic up. I only brought this topic up because they're talking about it in Matt Cool's room. And to me, I want to be really discerning about what I listen to and what I talk about. And to me, again, this actually isn't an important issue on a list of my priorities or what I think the priorities should be for the country. And the evidence is in my hand, which is called a book. And it talks about the separation of economics and state. We already know about the separation of church and state because we know that that could be a problem. But why aren't we admitting that, the way that things are set up now is the problem? Meaning we don't actually have laissez-faire capitalism. We have state-controlled economy, and we're 40 trillion in debt. So let's just say every African American who can prove that they are a victim of slavery were to get $100,000 check, I would be fine with that. But you have to realize, where would that money come from? We could borrow it to pay it and then tax in the future, or we could cut Medicaid, which has a $4.2 trillion budget, by $1 trillion, issue everybody that $100,000 check, and all of those health corporations and insurance corporations that need that $1 trillion to actually turn a profit, well, 1 year, they would have a loss, but every victim would be made whole. But I'm just saying it'll never happen. And so we might as well just try to enjoy the weather today. Hello?
John, here's really the curious thing about all this. What do you mean you're blocked from Matt Cool's room? It doesn't make any.
I don't know. I think it's Coco.
Anytime under one of your 50 other accounts, sir.
Some of them like what I have to say, but I think Coco on the stage, who's a mod, she might have me blocked. But what do I know? Maybe I'm just a greedy pig.
Listen, here's my take on reparations. I've gotten bored with the topic of reparations because anytime the Democrats bring it up, it always ends in some sort of, and I've said this many times before on many stages on this room. I cannot take the conversation seriously at this point because anytime the Democrats bring it up, it is always centered around we need to create a think tank and discuss it. We need to research. And usually over the years, I'm old enough to remember when these kind of panels are formed and these think tanks and these so-called liberal researchers are gathered together. Many of them, when you look up the racial makeup of these folks, it seems split, right? A nice portion of black folk are on these teams, and older black folk, maybe my generation or even older, right? My parents. And I sit back and I think to myself, what do you want me to research? You specifically, black man and black woman that I see on this panel. What are you talking about? You guys need to research. It's always we need to research slavery and the impacts. We need to research the impact and see who was negatively and what town and township and what region suffered the most in X, Y, and Z. And it's a trick bag. They're playing in our face. Especially, like I said, it goes back. Now we know black folks and many scholars, historians, it doesn't really matter what race you are. We like to remind each other that history we know is greatly whitewashed. We like to remind each other that it's his story. We get it. We understand. But certainly I think many foundational black Americans, especially of a certain age, I'm going to say Generation X and older, because, my age group and older, we were actually allowed to study and read history. We didn't have a lot of liberals and weirdos screaming about critical race theory and this, that, and the other, and it makes the black kids feel bad and the white kids feel this, that, and the other. We can actually learn history and read and write. Nobody was called a racist.
Well, I read books.
So I say all this to say, no foundational black American of a certain age should willingly participate in some politically funded organization, group, or initiative whose goal is to study history of slavery of the past and its impact over the generations, including today, and then reach a decision, and based on that decision, determine if the descendants of slaves deserve reparations. I think it's a slap on the face, and I think it's a joke. What are you studying? What do you need to research?
Well, I'm reading a book. That's what, if people come together and they want to do research, that means that they actually shouldn't state their opinions. They should just do information gathering and leave their opinions at the front door.
And I agree, but do you understand how many every political cycle, especially every election cycle, they're putting together these panels, John.
Yeah, I get it. It's political. It's political. Everything is political. The vaccine is political. Abortion is political. Even the human soul is political. Nothing is not political. I'm just saying that the downside to engaging in Clownhouse, aka this app, and what people talk about is truly the time you lose listening and talking with the people on this app. Because in the book that I'm holding, just 3 minutes of reading or reading 2 pages is so more valuable than listening to people's opinions because they're bored. I mean, it's a beautiful Saturday, and Bima in that room is talking about how to get a vote out of committee, how to get a policy, an issue, and a law. And you know, I'm just saying that people are wasting their time. They're repeating themselves forever until people start picking up books again. And this is why I've started the book club. I call it a book club. We don't talk about the books we read. We read books to each other. I'm actually what this book is talking about. It's talking about society. There's 2 primary functions of society. One is knowledge, to pass knowledge around, and 2 is to trade. And so this is my complaint against, the reparations argument or the Donald Trump derangement syndrome is your complaints are part of why you're complaining, because you're not actually generating or new knowledge, essentially, and you're not trading. This app is a graveyard. It's where the dying come to die. It's not where the living come to thrive and live, because there's.
John, that's not true.
It's true. I can prove the fact that I record it. The fact that I put this on YouTube and record all of this is me actually inverting it, because I'm trying to be creative. What people are doing here. People on this app are not repurposing or replatforming, and that's why it's a graveyard. Hello?
Okay, so here's the thing. Let me give some shout outs, okay? Let me give some shout outs. We just opened the room up. John came in hot. I haven't had a chance to say good morning or good afternoon to Elbel. Hi, boo. Hi, honey bunny. I don't know if you're there. Shout out to folk in the audience. Welcome Saturday. Happy Saturday. I'm a little late opening up the room because Apple TV sent me the 2nd season of Dark Matter. Did you guys see Dark Matter season 1? Really, really good show. If you like science fiction, who's saying, Empress, you saw it? Well, yeah. So they sent me the 2nd season because they're gearing up to do press interviews for the 2nd season. And the new season premieres in August. They sent me the 2nd season to watch it. Lost track of time. Elle texted me. She's like, are we doing a room? And I'm like, yeah, but you know what? I didn't really prepare a lot of topics, although I do want to touch on, guys, listen, because I'm so tickled by all of this, guys. 2 topics that have tickled me over the past 2 weeks, okay? Chud the Builder and the Odyssey movie, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, all right? So these are 2 topics that have really, so we're going to unpack that a little bit. We'll get into both of those.
Nah, I used to live in Los Angeles, and my sister had some cool friends, and they would get like special DVDs that would say, confidential, cannot be, do not lose this, etc. But it was the movie for the Grammys, or not the Grammys, the Oscars or whatever. These were like Oscar nominations, and then these people, I guess, got the pre-screener so that they could vote on it. How it all fucking works, but it's interesting that you get these press kits and pre-release so you can generate buzz like that. Being productive, you're trading and you are creating entertainment. I'm just saying the thing that scares me about Clubhouse is that I'm accused of being redundant, but I'm only accusing other people of being redundant. Eventually you have to create a syllabus, have your topics, and just be aware of what you're doing. That's really all I'm saying, because I think people here are on infinite loop on this app. Hello?
Well, here's the thing. One of the things I'll say about you, when I first met you, why does my brother keep calling me? Oh, he must need something. Hold on, guys. Hold on 1 second. Let me see something. Hold on. Hello?
So that movie Odyssey.
All right, sorry. So listen, this is what I was saying. Let me just say this real quick. One of the things when I first started engaging with you on this app, John, I thought it was amusing when you referred to this app as Clownhouse, which I think is funny. There are a lot of clowns in this app, so I get it. It lives up to your moniker, Clownhouse. But I find it engaging because you can tap in to so many conversations and personalities at any given time. If you want to go into a ratchet black room, you can. If you want to go into the ratchet white room, you can. If you want to go into the politically divided rooms, or the entertainment rooms, or the Hebrew Israelite rooms, you can do all of that. And I find it enjoyable, right? I sadly I'm addicted to Clubhouse. I hate to admit that. I enjoy listening to the conversations, adding where I can add. I've been listening. Late last year, I got caught up in some major. You remember the Clubhouse drama with JB and Pepe and was it Mojo? All of that drama, and I was in the center of it because I was trying to defend my people. And I felt, and at the time, I was like, man, I finally arrived on this app because I feel like you haven't truly arrived on Clubhouse unless you get caught up in some Clubhouse drama, right? So I'm like, season 5 on Clubhouse. I finally arrived. I'm finally at the rooms. People are talking about me, but, they're like, mind your business, Nye. Has nothing to do with you. Shit like that, right? But that's my thing. And John, listen, I do appreciate your book rooms. Before you started that, there was a Nigerian woman on this app. I think they ran her off the app because they said she was scamming, what do you call that? Bitcoin? Scamming Bitcoin rooms and NFTs or something like that. But when she wasn't hosting her NFT and Bitcoin rooms, she held book rooms and she would play audiobooks. And those were great rooms. A lot of books that I had been meaning to read in years past, she played. So I would sit there like, yeah, I've been meaning to read this book. And I would sit there for hours listening to the audiobook. Now, because I work Monday through Friday, all day doing articles and writing up, entertainment news. So I'm very lucky that I have, 30 years working in film and TV. I'm now to the point where I can work from home. I can work anywhere. I no longer have to be in an office. So I like to have Clubhouse in the background. I use it like talk radio, AM radio. I look at it as an interactive podcast. So I understand your criticisms, John, but I don't know. I think you like it too. I think you just like to talk smack because you're on here just as much as everybody else all day, John. So what you talking about?
Well, I mean, past 24 hours, I know losers come on here and they say, oh, I haven't used the app in weeks. I took a break. And it's like, well, here you are telling us about your break. I'm just saying that, I put a link in the chat. I recorded that 9 years ago, and it's got 2,000 views. It's Shuang Tzu, and it's Chinese philosophy. And I'm just saying that this app is entertainment, and I'm only complaining that it's entertainment. But my thought is that how do we actually use the app productively? How do we make money? How do we trade our time and our voices and our entertainment to make money? And that's what I'm just appalled because conservative Republicans on here who are supposedly anti-state and economy and claim they're capitalists, well, all they do is complain. They're not actually making any money. They're not being productive. They're not organizing anything. And the thing is, when this app shuts down, I like to think in the back of my head that I've recorded it for 5 years just to prove how ignorant people are and how basically we're just birds. I spend a lot of time watching birds, and we're no different. We are just chirping. but no productivity. At least the birds are organizing some shit and building a nest. And so when this app shuts down, there are people here who are networked in, through other platforms like Instagram or LinkedIn, etc. Those are the people that are actually creating value. But the people who hide behind names like Pepe or Matt Cool that don't use their real identities, they're actually some of the sickest, R-worded out and brain rotted out people there are, because they're using this app to entertain themselves like immature sycophants, losers that never went to college, never sat in classrooms for years, reading, writing papers, listening to a professor, complicated math problems, etc. So I'm just saying that this app is 100% entertainment, but the good news, it really is the book. Pick any book you want. I talked to this girl, she told me she hasn't read a book in 20 years. And she said, well, do you have any book recommendations? I said, just pick up a book, take a picture of a book, and confirm with me you read what's called a book. All she does is spend her whole life picking up dog shit and going to this event and having a guy pay for this. And meanwhile, she's got no children. She's basically a floozy. Hello?
Okay, good night. Okay, John. Okay, breathe. Okay. Whew, John. All right, God bless you. Al, are you there? I haven't heard your beautiful voice yet.
She's a floozy.
I need to know if you've been following this Chuck the Builder story. Oh, go ahead, Al. Go ahead, move. I didn't know you
No.
what is going on? Can we talk? Go ahead, move.
No, please go ahead and continue. I was just answering, yes, I'm here. I was just running a couple of errands while listening to you and John. We're really listening to John go all the way off, and I was like, who is this man, and what is he talking about? So I've just been listening, catching mentally in the right space, and I realized that you guys are friends, not enemies. There's a lot going on. Like, I wasn't sure if I had to get up on this stage and, slap him or slap you. Like, I wasn't sure what was going on, but here I am. What's up, girl?
What's up? So, John, you got a lot to say. Al, I know you're running errands when you can. Have you been following this Chuck the Builder? I know John has probably heard about it. Elle, have you heard about it?
I have only heard, first of all, I think I'm making stuff up, so please, enlighten.
Okay, this story has tickled me. One thing that I noticed about me, I gave myself a fake topic. Well, let me rephrase. I'm trying to figure out the proper term to describe my obsession with studying, maybe it's behavior scientist, but I'm not a, clinically recognized, obviously. I went to film school. So I don't want to use a formal term. I want to make up a term that is informal and does not imply that I have a degree of some sort, okay? And that I'm a authority in this subject. But I do enjoy observing human behavior, and the reaction to human behavior is actually an obsession. And I think it stems from, because I'm a writer and creative, and I really love writing characters, right? And studying humans and those around me, folks I know directly, indirectly, and kind of creating characters or channeling some of their essence into the worlds that I write. And so this Chuck the Builder comes down my radar, a week or so ago? And I'm like, this is insane. So if anybody doesn't know who Chuck the Builder is, he's this white dude who, I don't know how, what his claim to fame was prior to going viral recently for harassing black folks in public. But before he went viral for harassing black people in public, he had a nice little following on Twitch or some streaming platform. He came across my radar about a week ago on X because he walks around Nashville with a cowboy hat, his long brown hair, his big, thick, curly mustache curled up at the tips. And he walks up to random, innocent black people minding their business, and he says to them, do you believe in free speech? And they say yes. And you believe white people can say nigger. And then, he waits for however, and the reaction from the black folks is varied, right? that I've seen, most of the black people who react they don't react with violence, right? They want to, but Chud threatens to either shoot them or mace them, okay? So he walks up to them, antagonizes, provokes them. If they react to being called the N-word or his use of the N-word, then he says, oh, you're chimping out. Meanwhile, he's really the only one acting like a nigga chimping out in the video, right? So if the subject of his racial harassment walks up on him or responds aggressively in tone, or even his demeanor, his physical demeanor suggests he might lay hands on Chud threatens to shoot or mace. So everyone generally backs off. I saw one viral clip where he did mace a girl. The police arrived on scene. They handcuffed Chud, but after, some back and forth with the victim and witnesses and Chud and the police watching his recording of the incident, they let him go. And he live streams all of this, right? So he has an audience. He's built up. He already had an audience, and then he went even more, big time, I guess, in the incel community online, the anti-black incel community in recent, days or weeks with his spiel. And in between these viral, he has popped in and off of on X, kind of celebrating his antics. It's like he's intoxicated on his growing fame, right? Bragging about his First Amendment rights. Nobody can do anything to him. You know what I'm saying? While at the same time acknowledging that he is getting death threats. People are threatening his young son. There was a GoFundMe launch, but I can't really tell if it was launched before the shooting incident that I'm about to describe. Now, I was doing some research on it yesterday, trying to find a date on his fundraising page. I couldn't see the date. Maybe I overlooked it, but the wording of his fundraising page gives the impression that it was created before the shooting incident. So, before I get to the shooting incident, I have to give you all this setup, because you've had a lot of people online saying, if he shoots someone, it's self-defense. You've had people on this app hosting rooms about, if Chud calls you the N-word, you don't have the right, and of course it's all white folks telling black people, the gist of it is, we can say whatever we want to say to you, nigger. You don't have the right to get aggressive or respond, and if you do, I have the right to shoot you. Of course, I'm listening to this conversation and I'm thinking to myself, what happened to the once mighty white man who was all about fists? Can the white man no longer fight? Is everything about just drawing guns? Is he that weak and beta that he can't fight with his fists? But I digress. So I'm listening to this back and forth, and everybody's saying, well, if he shoots, it's self-defense, it's self-defense. And my position is, well, if you provoke and you antagonize and you go out seeking a violent reaction to your violent words, not knowing if the person you're hurling N-word to, how they feel about that word. Maybe we know some black people, they don't give it another thought, they won't give their power, they won't react, right? Some, they might have a visceral reaction, maybe some PTSD to that word, right? I've noticed this in spaces that have been holding these conversations. You're using this word and you don't know the psyche of the person and how they react. You antagonize them, you provoke them. They get physically violent off a situation you created, and then you shoot them because you are afraid you're in fear of your life. I'm trying to figure out how that's self-defense. And so that leads us up to this past Wednesday. Because the conversation up until this past Wednesday outside of Tennessee Courthouse, Montgomery Courthouse, okay? The conversation online, a lot of prominent right-wing personalities. You had Matt Walsh. You had, I think, the Tate brothers, maybe the Tate brothers. What's that other guy's name? some of these big streamers, the one Egyptian guy that hates black people, I forget his name, but some of y'all know who I'm talking about. They're all, even Nick Fuentes, notoriously racist Nick Fuentes was like, yeah, this guy Chuck the Builder is in the wrong. He said it's not a good look to walk up to strangers, black people minding their business, to hurl the N-word. No, you don't have self-defense. So that's what's been the conversation. He's going to have self-defense. He's going to get off. Everybody on social media, he's going to get off. If he shoots a black man, you black people don't have the right to fight back. If we shoot, that's self-defense.
I had never heard of this.
That motherfucker. Go ahead. What's that now?
I had never heard of this guy before, but, you know, just based on Clubhouse and what people say on this app, you know, I guess some people have died from this app, you know, because of beefs. And really the social media platform of beefing is Instagram. And I see horrible things on Instagram. Incredible violence. Ludicrous, insane robberies, you know, and then shop owners pulling out guns and shooting the robbers. I mean, just, you see the craziest videos like Instagram had, and it's small people that put together these accounts and upload all this violence, and it's global. And that's why, you know, maybe earlier I was saying, because I served in the Army with black people, and I've worked with African Americans in the federal government. Guess what? For the most part, we always get along. And one of the reasons why there's no really like race consciousness in the interactions is because of shared purpose. You have, you know, basically our brains, when given instructions, we're like ants. We want to work together. And
okay, hold on, Sean. Hold on. We cannot go down the. We shall overcome. You interrupt. I gotta give the people an update about Chuck the Builder. You gotta wait. Okay? Elle doesn't know about Chuck the Builder. Some of the audience may not know about Chuck the Builder. And I want to get to it because I want to know your stance on what this man did. You said you hadn't heard about it. I want to give all the facts and lay it out, and you tell me, all right, in this racially, politically driven climate that we're in, your opinion. So let's get to Wednesday. Wednesday, there's Chud outside the courtroom. Chud is in the Montgomery court on a separate civil matter, okay? And Martina, I haven't seen you in ages. Is that Martina who I think it is? What's up, Martina?
Hey, girl. Okay. I'll let you speak now. Go ahead. You just finish the story.
Yes. Okay, I haven't seen you on forever. Hey. Okay, so there is Chud the Builder at court. He's coming out the court, and all the details now are coming out what happened. It was a little fuzzy before. But now the police have released their statements, the investigators and witnesses. So now we have a full picture of what happened. And what happened is, he's coming out of court. Somehow he had his gun. Either, what's unclear is that he had the gun and he went into court, he checked it in and retrieved it upon leaving, or because he was live streaming and he has somebody who live streams everything with him, did he leave the gun with his cameraman and, you know, when he went into court and obtained it when he came back out? That part I'm not sure. The point is, he was armed when he left the court. And as he's leaving the court, apparently, this black guy is out there, recognizes Chud because of his viral videos, and apparently, he says something. What he says is up for debate. Chud claims that he saw the black guy and another guy laughing at him, so he went over there and asked them, hey guys, what you laughing at? You like my suit or something, okay? There's also reports that the black guy who was shot told Chud, basically, I recognize who you are. Don't come over here with that chimp shit. Don't come over here talking about chimp. I have PTSD, okay? I don't know that anybody has released a full camera. We do know that there's surveillance footage. The police have confirmed there was surveillance footage outside the court, okay? I have not seen a full linear timeline chunks. So, allegedly, these two men exchange words. Chud walks away, allegedly. The black guy proceeds to follow. I guess they exchanged more words. Now, Chud claimed initially that when the black guy followed him, he attacked him. Chud turns around and shoots him. When he shot him in the stomach and shoulder. That was according to initial reports, and grazed out in the process, right? Well, the police reviewed the surveillance and talked to witnesses who saw it. They said actually what happened was Chud pulled out his gun first before the victim, the guy who was shot, laid hands on him. And I'm interpreting all this based on what I read from the police and what they said witnesses told them. It seems like the witnesses, the black reacted, was trying to stop Chud from pulling out the gun. There were even police there on the scene who witnessed this. That's why they arrested him on the scene and charged him with attempted murder. The police even said he took, they used a word that I don't know, a specific word, some sort of stance, ready to draw. And that's when the black man reacted. Now, Chud was arrested. He's still in jail. On Friday, the judge set a $1.2 million bond. There's another bond hearing coming up, I think, in 2 weeks. A hearing to reduce the bond, perhaps, right? And so that kind of flips the narrative a little bit because oh no, it's self-defense. The black guy attacked him. Chud had the right to pull out his gun and shoot him. Well, now we're finding out the judge and the black guy was reacting to that, and it seemed like he might stop Chud from pulling out the gun and shooting him. Now, the black guy's family has launched a GoFundMe. They've raised, I think, close to $100,000 now. The wife did confirm in the GoFundMe that the victim, the guy, is an Army vet, 6 years he served. He has physical disabilities and mental disabilities.
On the other side, maybe a couple of miles away, and you got to get across the hill, and all of a sudden you're sitting here thinking, how am I going to figure out how to get over that, through that? And my chest never sits there, and my chest never sits there and starts playing it like it's, like you're a football player getting ready to go and try to make this first touchdown for the season or something. It's not that type of thing. This reads like a transcript of someone just speaking. Anyway, it's not that type of thing. It's more like this thing of trying to figure out your way out of how you're going to get through something.
I am blocked even from this room. I've never even talked to these people and I'm blocked.
You're like, I am gonna get through this. It was more of a positive type thing about push harder to try to get through this.
His actions prompted this shooting.
I'll just say it's
it
written.
opens the door for the defense to introduce the victim's criminal past.
Yeah.
And apparently, the victim in this situation, the black guy,
if you transcribe
has a criminal past that
just
involves
conversations, the kind of stuff we did here on Clubhouse,
or his wife, I'm not sure.
the way the transcription never looks like the way you would write it if you sat down and tried to write what you were saying. So it felt that way, like it was a direct transcription.
And I'm thinking to myself, what does his past?
Now, what is the white media?
The legacy media. You know what the white media is? Don't play dumb, John. It's the regular media.
Is there a purple media? Is there a green media? Is there a red media? I'm just asking.
Okay, John, I'm not doing this with you, so that's where we are. I'm going to land there.
Excited man, frontal and posterior parietal circuitry. But in Parvizi's stimulation experiment, the DACC was activated in the absence of any posed by executive control areas. In the absence of a plan, The strong
criminal
blind man
justice
gropes for a
with
solution to an
a
ill-defined
specialization
challenge
in
that
law.
requires pushing
We
ever
don't
harder.
have the
Note that confronting an uncertain challenge is described as a positive feeling by this patient. And we have done so much to minimize risk and challenge for our children, we may be harming their brains. In section 4, wait, where did that come from? Did that come in a
evidence introduced? If he knew the guy and he knew his criminal history, because what's up for debate is not whether or not, and again, this is only if, let's say, Chet the Builder was the aggressor. They would be basically trying to determine, or the prosecution would be trying to cross-examine Chet the Builder on what he had in his mind when he was being quote-unquote attacked, because he's going to use a self-defense argument. And in no way could Chud the Builder have known alleged criminal history. So that's why it won't come into trial. I would love to hear that clip that you're referring to hear the parts of the attorney.
And I'm glad you said that. Let me pull it up because he did that. Prior knowledge. Thank you. I forgot to mention that, having the prior.
People look, and I'm not one of those black people that
Like modern day Quran.
To be fair, I don't think we could know what he really looked like, to be fair. It'd be hard to tell, like, phenotype-wise. I don't think we can know.
There is a syncretism with Hammurabi.
Properties that make it a tree.
Is sawdust
Right?
the treeness? Is
I don't
sawdust
hold to
treeness?
essential properties.
Is
Not to
sawdust
me, no.
treeness? Answer the question.
I don't hold to. No.
It's not. So you don't know. No, I'm not doing this. No. You're going in the audience. I'm not
that's
doing
crazy.
Philosophy. Go follow him at the.
Okay, now I'm finding. I don't know how to do this, guys. But I haven't been on to that point. There were a couple of Twitter accounts posting that the DA is not going to allow his fundraising campaign to post bail.
Moderators.
I don't know if that's accurate. Go ahead.
Moderators, if I may, just briefly, I live in Chicago. A lot of people on this app, I have noticed, live in Chicago. And we have what's known as the Safety Act. And everybody knows that you name a bill the opposite of what the bill actually intends to do. For example, the HEROES Act or the CARES Act. It's always the opposite of what the act claims that it does. So my point is, recidivist criminals who sucker punch women on Michigan Avenue 50 times, that's attempted murder. And why we don't have capital execution is beyond me, because there are mentally deranged, violent psychopaths, and you all know it's true, who will continue to victimize people and murder them and abuse and physically hit because they are psychopathic, aggressive psychopaths. And many of you have probably maybe have been victimized by some brutes and criminals who wander our streets, whether homeless or not. And anyways, ankle monitoring and no cash bail because of DEI and restorative justice and social equity lets a lot of violent African Americans and white Americans back onto the streets. I've seen pictures of white Americans. My point is, I would actually like to hypothetically argue on behalf of free speech, because Nye here knows me, Hillary here knows me, and as someone who likes to experiment with free speech, and this is the amazing thing about our First Amendment, our first right, which is really your right to experiment with communication and suffer the consequences thereof. Because in my opinion, Clubhouse is part of the modern capital surveillance economy. And anything you say and everything you say can and will be held against you in the future. Meaning, that's true. What do you think we spend all this money for? $100 billion a year to surveil our population and put it in storage servers. Hello?
We're just gonna keep it on entertainment, kind of like today. All right, we'll get to the conspiracies and the UFOs in a minute.
So refresh me real quick. Who is Chud the Builder? What's going on with this?
Okay, girl. Wait, Martina, go ahead. I think Martina wants to get in there. Go ahead, Martina.
I can't. Okay, first of all, Hillary, I'm gonna need you to get there quicker. Like, just, I love you, but like, get it together. No, just kidding. I love you. Okay, so quickly, this Chud the Builder shit is diabolical. This man makes money off of inciting violence to black people and making them he puts himself in situations and that entices people. Like he's trying to create a race war. He's trying to create a race war, basically. Like he's doing it for profit, which is fucking disgusting. So
let's say I'm
you can't sit here and be like, there's nothing about this dude.
Let's say I'm committed to atheism.
That
atheism is also usually
it's real simple to me. It's really like this guy is a person does shit in bad faith and then puts himself in a situation to make himself feel like then he has to react and kill black people. Like he puts himself in a situation so he can incite violence on black people by provoking black people to begin with.
Natural.
That's someone that they're shit in bad faith and is a racist asshole. And he uses racism as a platform for profit, which is fucked up and is like disgusting as shit. And should be a violation and like it's not about free speech, it's about inciting. Like you can't the thing about free speech is like, yeah, you have free speech, but you can't go into a fucking crowded area and scream fire. Like that's what he's doing, and he's doing it for profit, which is fucking disgusting. And
why are people giving this guy money then?
Because the racist assholes moving to America. Like I don't know what to tell you, bro. Like that's what the fuck it is. Like it's real simple. And so that's how I feel about it. I don't know who else feels anything, but it's really, I don't have really much else to say about it.
Yeah, I want to confirm that what this guy is doing is psychopathic, mentally deranged, sick, and criminal. And the whole thing about life is if you fuck around, you're going to find out eventually, because the opposite of your aggression is eventually coming your way. And, anyways, I'll just say that, I think Nye has a winning formula. I think essentially the winning formula is Howard Stern and Robin Quivers, meaning that the opposite is when opposites unite, that's always the best content. And what do you mean, Nye, giving me this skull?
No, because I'm laughing. I'm laughing because you're so funny. No, the skull is a good thing.
Oh, okay. I'm killing it.
Yeah.
I'm killing it.
You're fine.
So, unfortunately, people like Chud the Builder exist. And I could make a theoretical defense to what he's doing, meaning that even using the sacred N-word, because I've been in a lot of African-American spaces on this app, and some people will say, do not actually use the N-word. It's our holy word. It's our sacred word. Don't just, use it in vain.
John, don't drop the N-word, okay?
I would never use the N-word.
You know what, I'm gonna let
He's trolling. Martina, you don't know. Martina,
I know he's trolling. He's gonna get to the point, but go ahead, bro.
No, it's not a joke. What I'm trying to get at is that this poor victim.
You want Nye to be your co-host on a podcast? That's what I'm picking up.
100%, we're doing it right now. What
What black spaces have you gone in and they said the N-word with the hard ER is our holy word?
I have it. You can watch my YouTube if you want. It's on my YouTube. But anyways, that's not the point of what I'm saying. What I'm trying to get at is if I really have no point about this guy, but
okay, well, if you don't have a point, great. Let's move on.
Well, let me just say this. Let me just say this: that the victim Well, you guys are going to be here all day. This is like 60 seconds for you. You guys will be here for hours. Hello?
Okay, hold on. John, CC did ask me. I found the clip of this attorney. It was Myron Gaines.
Oh, that beautiful bean footage.
Yeah. The clip is 5 minutes. I'll play the whole thing, but if y'all want me to stop at some point, because it's too long, let me know and we'll stop if you want to talk about it. But okay, so this is Myron Gaines talking to a federal defense attorney or former Fed and self-defense attorney. This is what the caption says. His name is not here, but here we go. Let me set it up.
Here's a tweet that comes from a guy named Mary King. He's been kind of giving updates on the situation. I think him and Chud are friends. But here's what he said. This was a couple of hours ago. Quote, Chud update. Here's some fun facts that you'll see developing. The entire exchange was live streamed on Pump Fun. Service I was telling you guys about before. The stream shut down at the first gunshot due to an automated AI response system. The stream is being subpoenaed. The facts according to over witnesses watching the live stream. Chud told the guy, quote, I hope your day gets better, God bless, end quote. Then it goes, Chud had already walked away, was about 70 to 100 yards away. The man went out of his way to run up on Chud while his back was turned. He confronted Chud. He punched Chud in the face. Chud didn't instigate anything. Some of you are about to look absolutely stupid. Now, let's assume, let's take his bias here, because obviously he's his friend. But let's assume that this fact pattern is correct, and this is what actually went down. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, that looked better than some of the alternative fact patterns for sure. So let me give people the framework that I apply when I break down any use of force case or any case I'm working on. And I get paid a lot of money to do this. And you'll be surprised to know, maybe, that there's only 5 things you need for self-defense. It's very simple. It's like a child's jigsaw puzzle with 5 giant pieces. The law is not complicated. And those 5 pieces are innocence,